rise quietly through life's chaos, while others collapse beneath it. It's not luck, it's not talent, it's something deeper, something internal. The Stoics understood this. In a world that pulls your attention in every direction, they discovered how to focus inward, how to become calm in the storm, and how to turn adversity into strength. This isn't a philosophy locked in dusty books. It's a set of principles forged in fire, meant to be practiced, lived, and carried into battle with the modern world. When life tests you, when your emotions pull you in every direction, there is a way to stay grounded, not just to survive, but to lead, to grow, to level up. Today, you'll learn 11 timeless Stoic strategies that can change the way you think, respond, and walk through this world. Not all at once, but step by step. So if something inside you is tired of drifting, tired of being shaken by everything outside of you, stay with me. Watch closely. And let these strategies speak to the part of you that's ready to rise. 1. Anchor yourself first. Most people spend their entire lives trying to meet the demands of others. They wake up and instantly check their phones, responding to messages, worrying about work, taking care of others before they've even had a moment to care for themselves. It sounds noble, but it's also how you burn out. The Stoics would call this a life lived out of alignment, a life where your energy is spent outward before it's ever cultivated inward. You cannot offer peace, strength, or clarity to the world if you haven't first cultivated it in yourself. And yet, most people try. Seneca once wrote, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Think about that. We guard our money, our possessions, our image, but we let others consume our time, our attention, our energy without question. That is the beginning of losing yourself. Prioritizing yourself doesn't mean shutting the world out. It means anchoring yourself so that when the world pulls, you don't drift. It means beginning the day with something that reminds you who you are before the noise tells you who to be. Maybe that's 5 minutes of silence before the sun rises. Maybe it's writing down your thoughts before the world has a chance to write them for you. Maybe it's standing in front of the mirror, not to admire your reflection, but to remind yourself that you're responsible for your presence today. It might feel awkward at first. Whispering, "I am worthy" when no one's listening, or "I am grounded, I am strong." But repetition is how beliefs are formed. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily, not for others, but to discipline his own thoughts, to bring his mind back into alignment with who he wanted to be. In the same way, when you speak kindly and firmly to yourself, you're not performing, you're training. You're creating an internal compass that points you back to center whenever life tries to scatter you. This self-prioritization isn't soft, it's strength. Because the moment you stop abandoning yourself to meet everyone else's demands, you stop living like a servant to chaos. You stop saying yes to people who would never do the same for you. You stop giving your best energy to things that drain you. That's what boundaries are, not walls, but wise filters, not declarations of selfishness, but acts of self-respect. And here's the truth no one likes to admit. When you make everyone else a priority before yourself, resentment grows. Quietly at first, then loudly, and eventually it turns into exhaustion, bitterness, and regret. You begin to forget who you were before everyone else's needs took center stage. That's not sacrifice, that's slow erosion. You weren't born to be everyone's backup plan. You weren't born to be the strong one only when it's convenient for others. You were meant to be solid, and that means refilling your own cup without guilt. The more grounded you are, the more powerfully you can serve the world around you. That's the paradox most people never see. When you prioritize yourself, you actually have more to give, not less. More patience, more clarity, more calm. But it begins with a simple shift. You start treating your time like it matters. You stop apologizing for needing rest. You stop explaining why you're unavailable for things that pull you away from your purpose. And you start showing up for yourself with the same devotion you've given to everyone else. Take today, for example. Ask yourself one clear question. What do I need to feel more aligned with the person I'm trying to become? Maybe it's a walk without distractions. Maybe it's 30 minutes to journal. Maybe it's saying no to that one draining obligation you always say yes to. That's how it starts, not with a dramatic life overhaul, but with a single act of respect for yourself. The Stoics would call that living with intention. And intention, when repeated, becomes identity. From that space of grounded clarity, you become untouchable. Not in the arrogant sense, but in the way that storms can rage around you, and you remain calm. In the way people can make demands, and you respond with thought, not guilt. In the way that chaos loses its grip, because your inner world is no longer shaped by the outer. So if you've been feeling scattered, drained, stretched too thin, start here. Start by placing yourself firmly in the center of your own life, not with selfishness, but with clarity. Not to push others away, but to make sure that when you show up, you do so fully, not as a fragmented version of yourself, but as the whole, grounded, deliberate force that you were always meant to be. This is the first step. And once you reclaim this space, you begin to see life differently. You stop reacting, you start creating. And from here, we move forward to the next practice that will fortify your path. 2. Dress the way you think. Let's get something straight from the start. This isn't about vanity. It's not about chasing trends or sculpting an image to please the crowd. From a Stoic point of view, enhancing your appearance isn't about ego. It's about integrity, about showing up in a way that reflects the respect you have for yourself. Epictetus once said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Not as a performance for others, but as a mirror of your inner discipline. Think about it. When you put effort into your appearance, not for approval, but for alignment, you carry yourself differently. You speak with more conviction, move with more presence, and enter rooms with a quiet kind of power that doesn't need to shout. You're not dressing for compliments. You're dressing to match the strength you've been cultivating inside. Confidence, real confidence, starts with consistency. And how you present yourself is one of the most consistent choices you can make each day. You might not be able to control what happens at work or how someone treats you on the street, but you can control the way you carry yourself into that moment. That's what the Stoics would call a controllable, your effort, your posture, your preparation. This doesn't mean you need to look like a runway model or spend a fortune on clothes. It means standing tall. It means grooming with care. It means wearing clothes that fit, that feel like you, that say, "I know who I am." It could be a crisp t-shirt and clean jeans, or a tailored jacket with boots worn from miles walked in quiet work. The point isn't the price, it's the presence. The energy that says, "I take myself seriously." Your style is not a costume. It's an extension of your discipline. And when you align your outer appearance with your inner values, authenticity, simplicity, resilience, you create harmony. You no longer feel like you're pretending, you're expressing, you're moving through the world as one unified force, not a fragmented one. Marcus Aurelius didn't wear his robes to impress the Senate. He wore them because he was the emperor and the role demanded it. He didn't show up sloppy or distracted. He showed up prepared, composed, deliberate. That's the spirit we're talking about here. Not being admired, but being aligned. There's power in the small things. A clean haircut, polished shoes, a shirt that fits right. These might seem like surface-level details, but they are, in truth, signs of something deeper. Respect. Respect for your time, your body, your day. When you let yourself fall apart on the outside, it's usually because something inside has already started to drift. But when you pull yourself together, when you take 10 extra minutes to look sharp, it sends a message back to your mind, a message that says, I'm still here, I'm still in control, I'm still building. And remember, this has nothing to do with what others think of you. It's not about turning heads. It's about walking past a mirror and seeing a man who honors his own journey. A man who may be tired, but never sloppy. A man who may be uncertain at times, but never careless. That's where confidence begins, not in compliments, but in consistency. So ask yourself today, how can I reflect the discipline I carry within me? Is it in the way I walk into the room? Is it in how I care for my clothes? Is it in the way I groom, not for others, but for self-respect? Maybe it's updating your wardrobe to match the man you're becoming. Maybe it's letting go of the baggy hoodie that reminds you of who you were and stepping into something that fits who you are now. The Stoics remind us that outer order supports inner clarity. When your space is clean, your mind can think. When your body is strong, your will becomes sharper. And when your appearance is deliberate, your confidence becomes stable, not based on approval, but on principle. This is the quiet armor of the Stoic. Not flashy, not loud, but unmistakable. So as you move through the world, don't underestimate how much stronger you become when you present yourself with intention. The world might not always notice right away, but you will. And that self-recognition, that personal respect, will ripple through everything you do. Now that you've sharpened how you carry yourself on the outside, it's time to strengthen what fuels you from within. Let's move to the next practice. 3. Smile like you mean it. There are days when the weight of everything feels heavier than usual, days when even getting out of bed takes effort, and the idea of smiling feels almost dishonest. But here's a truth the Stoics understood deeply. Your outer expression can shape your inner world. Your smile, simple, subtle, often overlooked, is not just a social gesture. It's a signal to your mind. A signal that says, I'm still here. I still choose how I respond. When you smile, even when it doesn't come naturally, your brain responds. Chemicals like dopamine and serotonin begin to flow. These aren't just names in a textbook. They are the messengers of calm, clarity, and even courage. It might feel strange at first, like you're faking it. But you're not pretending everything's perfect. You're reclaiming your authority over your emotional state. Just as the Stoics taught us not to let external events dictate our peace, smiling is one way we assert that control. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, plagues, betrayal, yet he reminded himself daily, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. A smile, then, becomes a physical expression of a powerful thought. I choose to face this day with presence, not panic. It doesn't mean you deny your pain. It means you refuse to be consumed by it. Try this tomorrow morning. Before your feet touch the ground, smile, just for a second. Not for anyone else, just for you. Then do it again when you pass by the mirror, when you pour your coffee, when the day tries to push you into frustration. That small act is like planting a flag in your own mind, reminding yourself, no matter what the world throws at me, I still get to decide how I carry myself through it. And it's not just about your own mood. A smile is contagious. You've felt it before. A stranger passes by and smiles, and something in you softens, even if just for a second. You have that same ability. When you walk into a room and offer a calm, sincere smile, you shift the energy. You ease tension. You create space. In a world addicted to stress, that makes you rare. That makes you powerful. Even over the phone, people can feel it. Your voice changes when you smile. There's a lightness, a warmth that slips into your tone, even if your words remain the same. It's not performance, it's presence. And presence is something people remember long after the conversation ends. Of course, this isn't about walking around with a forced grin. The Stoics would never suggest suppressing your emotions or faking your way through life. Quite the opposite. They believed in facing reality with clear eyes and a strong spirit. But they also knew that your attitude is a tool and your body can help sharpen it. A smile in this light is not illusion. It's intention, a quiet rebellion against bitterness, a choice to radiate something better into the world. There's power in being the one who smiles first, not to gain approval, not to pretend, but to ground yourself, to anchor your spirit, to remind yourself that your peace doesn't depend on the weather of the world. And if the person next to you happens to smile back, so be it. That's just a ripple of the strength you've already claimed for yourself. So if today feels heavy, if the challenges keep coming, don't underestimate what one genuine smile can do. Not for the crowd, for you. Because each time you choose to smile despite the storm, you're practicing a quiet form of stoic courage. You're training your mind to respond with light rather than retreat into shadows. And that's what Stoicism really teaches us. Not to be unaffected, but to be unwavering. Not to pretend life is easy, but to move through difficulty with clarity and grace. So take this one simple act and make it part of your daily armor. Smile, not because life is perfect, but because you refuse to let it break you. Now that your presence has started to shift, let's move deeper into the next practice that will sharpen your focus and anchor your mind. 4. Guard your peace with boundaries. Let's be honest, there will always be people who test your peace. Some do it carelessly, others out of habit, and a few may even do it deliberately. They could be co-workers who gossip, friends who constantly complain, or even family members who never seem to respect your time or energy. But just because someone brings chaos doesn't mean you have to carry it. The Stoics teach us that the behavior of others is not within our control, but how we respond is always our responsibility. Being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone at all times. It doesn't mean saying yes when you want to say no. And it certainly doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being to keep someone else comfortable. True kindness, Stoic kindness, starts with self-respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." And part of being good, being wise, being whole, is protecting your peace without abandoning your compassion. Picture a calm river. It flows steadily, peacefully, but if a storm comes, it doesn't lose its direction. It keeps flowing, sometimes quietly around obstacles, sometimes with more force, but always on course. That's what setting boundaries with kindness looks like. You remain calm. You remain composed, but you don't allow others to steer you off your path. It's not easy, especially when guilt tries to sneak in. When someone accuses you of being distant or selfish for creating space. But the Stoic doesn't act out of guilt or people-pleasing. They act out of principle. And here's a principle worth holding. You do not owe anyone unlimited access to your time, your energy, or your emotional bandwidth. Especially when that access comes at the cost of your mental clarity or your sense of self. Setting boundaries doesn't require a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it's a quiet shift, a delayed response to someone who always demands urgency, a gentle, "I won't be able to make it this time," or simply choosing not to engage in draining conversations. These aren't acts of aggression, they're acts of discipline, and discipline, for the Stoic, is the foundation of freedom. You don't need to explain yourself every time you pull back. You don't need to justify your silence when someone crosses a line. A boundary is not a debate. It's a choice. And the more consistently you practice it, the more others begin to understand. Your kindness does not mean compliance. Your presence does not mean permission. Your peace is not a public resource. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you love wisely. You wish them well, but from a distance if necessary. You listen when you can, but you don't absorb their storms. You help when it's healthy to help, but you stop rescuing people who refuse to swim. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And here's the beautiful part. When you set boundaries with steadiness and kindness, you avoid unnecessary conflict. You're not lashing out. You're not being cold. You're simply honoring both yourself and the relationship by refusing to let it become toxic. That kind of presence commands respect, not through force, but through integrity. People notice. They may not say it out loud, but they start to understand. They see that your kindness has structure, that your warmth doesn't mean weakness, that you are a safe place, but not a dumping ground. And eventually, those who truly value you will rise to meet you there. Those who don't will drift away, and that too is a form of peace. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by someone's demands, or drained after a conversation that offers no real connection, pause. Ask yourself, is this interaction helping me become more grounded, or is it pulling me off balance? And if the answer is clear, let your response be clear as well. Without anger, without apology, with calm. Because Stoicism isn't about cutting everyone off and walking alone. It's about managing relationships in a way that strengthens your character and protects your inner order. It's about staying kind, but not confused. Available, but not exposed. Open-hearted, but never self-neglecting. When you learn to do this, you reclaim your space. You conserve your energy for the people and projects that align with your values. And you create a life that is both connected and composed. That is the kind of life the Stoics would call wise. Now that your external boundaries are firm, it's time to turn inward and train the voice that shapes your days from the inside out. Let's keep going. 5. Let calm be your strength. We've all had those moments. The deadlines are closing in, the notifications don't stop, your mind is spinning in 10 directions, and everything feels like it's pressing down on you at once. The natural instinct is to panic, to react, to rush. But the Stoics offer a different path, a path of clarity in the storm. Because in chaos, your calm becomes your greatest weapon. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who led armies and ruled through plague and betrayal, once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." That's the Stoic truth. Stress isn't born from events. It's born from our reactions to them. And that's where your power lies, not in controlling the world, but in controlling your response to it. Think about the last time you felt truly overwhelmed. Maybe it was a tight deadline, maybe a heated argument, or maybe it was just the piling weight of everything at once. In that moment, clarity felt far away. Your breath quickened, your thoughts scattered. You might have said or done something you later regretted. That's what happens when we let emotion drive the wheel. But now picture this. Same situation, same pressure, but instead of reacting, you pause. You take a breath. You return to yourself. And from that stillness, you act, not out of panic, but out of purpose. That pause is the difference between chaos and composure, and it starts with something as simple as your breath. One of the most accessible tools in moments of stress is breathing. Try this. Inhale deeply for a count of 4, hold it for another 4, and exhale slowly for 4. Do it twice. That's all. You don't need to retreat to a mountain or take a sabbatical. You just need 10 seconds of intention. The Stoics believed in preparing the mind like a soldier sharpens his sword. This is how you sharpen yours, by mastering the moment before it masters you. And when that first wave of calm arrives, you gain perspective. You begin to ask better questions. One of the most powerful: will this matter in 5 years? Most of the time the answer is no. Even the loudest problems fade with distance. But when you're lost in the moment, they feel like everything. That's why zooming out is a Stoic strategy. It reminds you of scale, of proportion, of what actually deserves your energy. Here's the other truth. Stress is not entirely the enemy. It's a signal. It tells you something is at stake, but you get to decide how to interpret that signal. You can let it spiral into chaos, or you can use it to anchor deeper into what matters. You can't control if the timeline moves faster or if someone speaks to you poorly, but you can always control your effort, your schedule, your preparation, your words. That's the Stoic formula. Control the controllable, release the rest. And this shift from trying to manage everything to managing only what's yours frees up massive mental space. Instead of wasting energy resisting reality, you invest it in action. Instead of trying to control the storm, you become the steady hand that sails through it. People notice. Whether in a boardroom or in your personal life, calm is magnetic. It draws people in. It creates trust. When the world panics and you don't flinch, you become a source of strength. That's not just leadership, it's mastery. Not of others, but of yourself. So the next time stress creeps in, and it will, pause, breathe, zoom out. Ask yourself, what's really in my control right now? Then do that. Not everything, just that. Let go of the rest. That is how you become unshakable, not by avoiding pressure, but by standing tall in the middle of it. Not by pretending it's easy, but by choosing clarity when others collapse. That's the Stoic path. And once you learn to walk it, no challenge can truly break you. From this place of calm, you're ready for more, not just to endure the next challenge, but to grow stronger through it. Let's keep going. 6. Chart your course by values. In a world that constantly screams for your attention, that pressures you to fit into molds and follow predefined scripts, setting your own course is not just a lifestyle choice, it's a form of inner rebellion, a Stoic rebellion. Because the moment you stop living according to others' expectations and start building a life that reflects your principles, you step into something few people ever find: freedom. But let's be clear, setting your course isn't about blindly chasing passion or impulsively doing what feels good in the moment. It's about alignment, living a life that reflects your core values, those steady, non-negotiable truths that guide you when everything else feels uncertain. For some, it's integrity. For others, growth. Maybe for you it's freedom, creativity, or loyalty. Whatever they are, your values are your compass. Without them, you drift. With them, you lead. Start there. Reflect on the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most proud, most grounded. What was present in those moments? What principle was honored? That's where your values live. Once you know what truly matters, decision-making becomes simpler. Not always easier, but clearer. When life pulls you in conflicting directions, those values remind you where true north lies. From that foundation, you begin to define success on your own terms. Not what looks impressive to others, not what earns applause, but what feels deeply right to you. A career that reflects your values, a daily rhythm that nourishes your spirit, a life that makes sense in your bones, even if it doesn't make sense to everyone else. That's what the Stoics called living according to nature, not external nature, but your inner nature, your highest self. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. When you decide to walk your own path, people won't always understand. You'll have to make choices that look strange from the outside. You may even disappoint a few people. But Stoicism teaches us that discomfort isn't something to be feared. It's a training ground. Growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. It happens when you step into the unfamiliar with courage, when you stretch beyond what's convenient and let life shape you through challenge. The obstacles you face, fear, uncertainty, resistance, aren't signs you're on the wrong path. They're the very signs you're on the right one. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every difficulty on your path is a tool in disguise, sharpening your focus, strengthening your resolve, deepening your wisdom. And remember, setting your course doesn't mean you must have it all figured out from the beginning. You're not writing a perfect map. You're navigating in real time. Life will change. You will change. Your values will remain, but your goals might evolve as you gain more experience and perspective. That's not failure. That's wisdom. The Stoic doesn't cling to rigid plans. He adapts with clarity. He flows without being lost. Stay curious. Stay humble. Stay grounded. When you feel yourself drifting, return to your values. When you feel overwhelmed, simplify. When the voices of others get too loud, retreat into stillness and ask your own voice what feels right. Your intuition, your inner voice, isn't just noise. It's the distilled result of your lived experience, your personal history, and your core philosophy. Learn to trust it. The Stoics believed that wisdom isn't something external that we chase. It's something internal that we awaken. Epictetus said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that strength is what guides your course, not trends, not opinions, not fear, but your own reasoned judgment and moral clarity. So if you've been waiting for permission to steer your life in a new direction, here it is. Stop waiting. Take the wheel. Set your course not according to where others think you should go, but toward where your values point. The path won't always be easy, but it will be yours. And there is no deeper fulfillment than knowing you're living a life that belongs to you, not borrowed, not forced, but earned. From here, the journey continues, because once your direction is clear, the next step is learning how to walk it with discipline and resilience. Let's move forward. 7. Stand firm without the noise. There comes a time when every person is faced with a choice: go along with the noise of the world, or stand quietly and firmly in who you are. And in today's world, where opinions shift like sand and popularity often replaces principle, choosing to stand your ground takes a rare kind of courage. But the Stoics knew that real strength doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself, from living in alignment with your values, even when the world pressures you to bend. To make your stand, you must begin with clarity. What do you believe in, truly? Strip away the noise. What matters when no one is watching? honesty, loyalty, compassion, self-discipline, growth. These aren't just nice words. They are the anchors of your life. Once you know what your values are, not as slogans but as lived truths, decision-making becomes clearer. You stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, is this in line with who I am? Life becomes much simpler when you stop chasing approval and start honoring your principles. That doesn't mean it gets easier. In fact, the stronger your stance, the more resistance you might face. People may misunderstand you. Some may distance themselves. But remember what Epictetus said. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. It sounds harsh, but it's freeing. Because when you stop needing to be understood by everyone, you free yourself to become someone worth respecting. Making your stand isn't always loud. You don't need to shout your beliefs or prove them in arguments. In fact, Stoicism teaches that the deepest form of conviction is action. If you value integrity, let it shape your daily choices. If kindness is important to you, show it when it's hardest. When you live your values, not just speak about them, you build something stronger than approval. You build trust. People watch. They may not always comment, but they notice. And over time, consistency becomes your silent testimony. Of course, there will be moments where you stand alone. That's not a flaw. That's the path. Sometimes living your truth means not laughing at the joke that crosses a line. It means saying no to things that everyone else is saying yes to. It means choosing growth over comfort, clarity over popularity. But that's the trade. Fitting in often means fading out, losing sight of your own convictions. The Stoic path demands something else. It asks you to stay rooted, even when others waver. Still, not every moment calls for defiance. Wisdom means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. Not every opinion needs your counterpoint. Choose your battles, as the Stoics would advise, by asking, does this violate my core values? If not, let it go. Your strength isn't measured by how often you argue. It's measured by how deeply you live your truth. So how do you begin this process in a world that rewards conformity? Start small. Choose one value that resonates with you: honesty, perseverance, compassion, and make it your compass for the day. Let it guide how you speak, how you act, how you respond. The next day, do it again. These aren't grand declarations. They're small, repeated acts of alignment. And over time, they become who you are. Because here's the truth. When you consistently live by your values, you become unshakable. Your self-respect grows. Your clarity sharpens. And even if the world doesn't agree with you, you'll walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they're living a life of integrity. That kind of presence is rare, and that kind of presence is powerful. So plant your feet. Let your values take root, and don't be afraid to stand alone when necessary. The Stoic doesn't seek the crowd, he seeks the truth. And when you walk with truth, even in silence, you never walk alone. Now that you've anchored yourself in values, the next step is learning how to lead with quiet influence, inspiring others not with words, but with example. Let's keep going. 8. Use humor as resilience. At first glance, humor might seem like a strange companion to Stoic philosophy. After all, the Stoics are often pictured as stern, serious thinkers, quietly enduring hardship and practicing discipline. But if you look deeper, you'll find that true Stoicism doesn't reject lightness. It welcomes it. Because life is already heavy. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is smile in the face of difficulty. A well-placed laugh, especially at your own expense, isn't weakness. It's wisdom in disguise. Seneca once wrote, "He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at." That wasn't just a clever line. It was a philosophy, because when you stop taking yourself so seriously, you become freer. Freer from ego, freer from shame, freer from the illusion that you have to be flawless. Life will hand you awkward moments, strange turns, and honest mistakes. If you can't find humor in them, you risk being crushed by them. But if you can laugh, even quietly, even briefly, you regain your balance. Think about the last time you were stuck in traffic, or spilled coffee on yourself before a meeting, or said something awkward, and replayed it in your mind all day. Now imagine looking at that moment through a different lens, not as a failure, but as a story, a little absurdity in the long arc of your day. That's the gift of wit. It reframes pressure. It shrinks the importance of things that don't deserve your energy. It reminds you that not every stumble is a catastrophe. Sometimes it's just life being life. Wit, when grounded in Stoic perspective, isn't about trying to entertain the room or cover pain with jokes. It's about seeing clearly and choosing to respond lightly, not because you don't care, but because you refuse to let everything weigh you down. That takes strength. A person who can smile in the storm, not out of denial, but out of perspective, is someone others naturally trust. Because that smile says, "I'm still here, I'm still grounded, I can handle this." This kind of lightness also disarms people. When you walk into a tense situation and bring calm, subtle humor, it softens resistance. People open up. Conflicts lose their edge. Conversations become easier. Even in leadership, a quiet sense of humor can show humility, resilience, and approachability. You don't have to dominate the room. Sometimes, a small moment of shared laughter is enough to build trust and connection where seriousness would have built walls. It also helps in solitude. Life will inevitably hand you challenges, health scares, job pressure, misunderstandings, uncertainty, and in those moments, humor becomes a secret weapon. It doesn't erase the hardship, but it makes space inside you for breath, for patience, for strength. To be able to say, "Of course this would happen to me," and chuckle, not with bitterness but with acceptance, is to reclaim your power. So, how do you develop this Stoic wit? First, learn to observe. Life is full of strange, funny, ridiculous little moments, but only for those paying attention. Next, learn to laugh at yourself. Truly, your quirks, your routines, your blunders, they're part of your humanity, not something to hide. When you can smile at them, you're no longer ruled by them. Read broadly, not just comedy, but writing that reflects the ironies of life. You'll find that the great philosophers and thinkers often had sharp humor. It just hid behind plain words. And finally, practice lightness. When things go wrong, pause. Instead of reacting, ask yourself, is there something slightly ridiculous about this? Often there is. And that tiny shift in how you see the moment can prevent an entire spiral of frustration. Humor, used this way, becomes a Stoic tool, a reminder that you are not here to be crushed by life, but to engage with it fully, even playfully. Because yes, life is serious, but you don't always have to be. In fact, sometimes the deepest resilience comes from those who can endure the heavy without becoming heavy, those who face the darkness but still carry a spark of light. That's the kind of strength Stoicism cultivates. Not cold, but clear. Not cynical, but grounded. And yes, occasionally smiling at the absurdity of it all. So nurture your wit, not to impress, but to endure. Not to mask your pain, but to hold it lightly. The world gives you more than enough reasons to be tense. Your humor is your quiet refusal to let it take your joy. And from here, with that smile in place, we take the next step, deeper into discipline and closer to the inner mastery that no hardship can shake. 9. Lead with respect, even in conflict. In a world that moves fast and often prioritizes self-interest over connection, respect has become a quiet form of power. It's easy to overlook, easy to dismiss as common sense, yet it's one of the clearest reflections of character. The Stoics understood this. They believed that how you treat others says far more about you than it does about them. Whether you're in agreement or conflict, with friend or stranger, respect is a choice, a discipline that reveals your inner strength. To respect someone doesn't mean you must agree with them. It doesn't require admiration or closeness. It means recognizing the basic dignity in every human being, no matter their background, beliefs, or behavior. You may strongly disagree with their perspective. You may even find their actions offensive. But Stoicism reminds us, what they say, what they do, that belongs to them. What you do in response, that belongs to you. And how you choose to respond is where true mastery begins. One of the most powerful and often underused ways to show respect is through listening, real listening. Not waiting for your turn to speak, not thinking of your rebuttal mid-sentence, but actually hearing what the other person is trying to express. In a world full of noise, being the person who listens calmly and thoughtfully is a rare virtue. It doesn't mean you have to agree. It means you are strong enough not to interrupt, patient enough to pause, and wise enough to understand that people reveal more in silence than in debate. Respect is also found in how you disagree, because we will disagree. That's inevitable. But the Stoic doesn't attack the person. He addresses the idea. He doesn't shout louder to win. He speaks more clearly to understand. When you engage in conflict with calmness, reason, and poise, you create space for solutions instead of escalation. You don't fuel the fire, you contain it. And that alone can change the tone of an entire conversation. But respect isn't limited to high-stakes disagreements. It's woven into the small, everyday moments, showing up on time, acknowledging someone's effort, saying thank you, holding a door without expecting anything in return. These gestures, though quiet, accumulate. They tell others without saying a word that you are grounded, that you value people, not just outcomes, and that your presence adds stability to the world around you. Still, respect must always include self-respect. Stoicism does not teach you to be passive or pleasing for the sake of harmony. Respect is not submission, it's clarity. When someone crosses a line or disrespects your boundaries, your response can still be firm and dignified. You don't need to shout or argue. You simply don't allow what is beneath your standard to persist in your space. That, too, is respect. Respect for your time, your energy, and your peace. Epictetus once said, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." And treating others with respect is one of the ways we draw that good from within. You don't respect others because they've earned it. You respect them because you have earned the discipline to respond with grace. You do it because you want to be the kind of person who doesn't let other people's chaos shake your own integrity. And here's what's remarkable. When you live this way, people notice, maybe not immediately. But over time, your consistency will set you apart. In work, in friendship, in every human interaction, people will feel it. The steadiness, the thoughtfulness, the presence, and they'll trust you, not because you demand it, but because you've shown it. So carry this with you. Speak with care. Listen with attention. Stand with dignity. Let respect be the quiet strength that shapes how you move through the world. Because the Stoic understands every interaction is a reflection, and when you respect others, even in conflict, you reflect the kind of person you're becoming. And now, with this deeper understanding of connection, let's step into the next discipline, one that sharpens your focus and protects your time from the distractions of the world. 10. Define your limits with clarity. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the clarity of knowing where your boundaries begin and where they must be enforced. In a world that constantly demands more of your time, energy, and attention, setting parameters is not selfish, it's strategic. And as the Stoics would say, it's essential for maintaining inner peace and preserving what you can truly control. The first step is simple but profound. Know your limits. Not the limits others assign to you, but the ones rooted in your values. What are you truly comfortable with? How much time can you give without depleting yourself? Where do you draw the line in how others speak to you, treat you, or demand from you? Whether it's turning off your phone after a certain hour, declining a project that stretches you too thin, or protecting your mornings for reflection instead of chaos, these decisions matter. They define the space where you can thrive, not just survive. Because here's the truth, if you don't define your limits, others will do it for you, not always with ill intent, but simply because you haven't shown them where the line is. That's why communication is crucial. Letting people know where you stand isn't harsh. It's honest. You don't need to justify your boundaries with long explanations. A simple, respectful, "This doesn't work for me," can be enough. The more clearly you express your limits, the more clearly people will understand who they're dealing with. Someone who is self-aware, respectful, and grounded. But here's where most people struggle: consistency. It's not enough to set boundaries once. You have to uphold them. If you set a limit, but keep making exceptions out of guilt, pressure, or fear of conflict, you teach others that your word is negotiable, and over time, you start to lose trust in yourself. But when you hold steady, when your no means no, and your space is honored not just by others, but by you, you begin to feel more in control. And with that control comes peace. This doesn't mean you become rigid or unapproachable. Stoicism teaches balance. Boundaries are not walls, they're guideposts. They let others know how to engage with you respectfully, and they help you engage with the world in a way that's sustainable. And just as you ask others to respect your parameters, you must be mindful of theirs. Mutual respect is the soil where strong relationships grow. Let's take an example. Maybe you've decided that your evenings are for rest and connection, not for checking work emails. You communicate that clearly to your team. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might worry that people will think you're slacking. But over time, they adjust. And more importantly, you protect the space you need to recharge and show up fully the next day. That's not laziness. That's strategy. That's self-respect. Or maybe you're navigating a relationship, personal or professional, where someone continually crosses emotional lines. Setting a boundary might mean fewer conversations, firmer language, or even stepping back altogether. That choice isn't an act of cruelty. It's a form of preservation. As the Stoics would say, you don't control how others behave, you only control what you allow. Let that guide your decisions. And yes, there will be moments of guilt, disappointment, resistance. But remember, if the cost of pleasing others is the erosion of your peace, it's too high a price to pay. You are not responsible for managing everyone's comfort. You are responsible for protecting your focus, your purpose, and your presence. Because when you honor your limits, you're not just protecting yourself. You're preserving your ability to show up with energy, patience and clarity for the things and people that matter most. So today, ask yourself, where in your life do you need to draw a clearer line? What habit, relationship, or expectation has quietly been draining your energy? Choose one area, start small, set a new standard, and most importantly, enforce it, not with anger, but with calm conviction. Because setting boundaries isn't about shutting the world out. It's about building a life where you can show up fully and freely without resentment. And from this place of clarity and control, we move into the next principle, one that takes your strength from the quiet internal to the external presence that others can't ignore. 11. Remove what weakens you. If you truly want to elevate your life, start by removing what drains you. Negative energy can disguise itself in many forms: people, habits, cluttered environments, even the voice in your own head. Left unchecked, it consumes your mental space faster than anything else. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that we must focus only on what we can control and let go of what no longer serves us. Cutting out negative energy is not about running from difficulty. It's about reclaiming your clarity. Start with your relationships. Who brings peace and who brings chaos? It's easy to keep people in your life out of guilt, history, or convenience. But if someone constantly brings stress or cynicism into your world, it may be time to redefine the distance. You don't need to burn bridges, but you can protect your energy. As the Stoics taught, quality always matters more than quantity. Choose to surround yourself with those who support your growth, challenge you respectfully, and reflect the values you're striving to live by. Next, look inward. Some of the harshest negativity doesn't come from others, it comes from ourselves. Pay attention to your self-talk. Are you constantly doubting your worth, magnifying mistakes, or expecting the worst? That's negative energy too. And it's subtle. Begin to notice those inner narratives. When a thought arises that undermines your peace, ask, is this helping me become better or just keeping me stuck? Replace those patterns with clearer, kinder, stronger truths. Stoicism isn't about toxic positivity. It's about training the mind to respond with reason, not fear. Then take a look around your environment. Is your space chaotic, disorganized, noisy? Sometimes the clutter in your surroundings reflects the clutter in your thoughts. Clean your space, simplify your environment, and notice how your mind begins to follow. Even small actions, clearing a desk, making your bed, organizing your tools, send a message to your brain. This is a place of order, not noise. And finally, examine your habits. Negative energy thrives in routine distractions, mindless scrolling, procrastination, poor sleep, constant multitasking. They don't feel urgent, but over time, they dull your edge. Instead, replace the draining with the strengthening. Read, move, reflect, rest. You don't need to redesign your life overnight. You need to make consistent, conscious choices that honor your energy. Cutting out negative energy isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. You are not responsible for everything that enters your life, but you are responsible for what stays. Let go of what weakens you. Make space for what strengthens you. That's the essence of Stoic living, to guard the gates of your mind and heart with courage, clarity, and care. In the end, when you remove what no longer belongs, you create the space for something far more powerful, peace, and from peace, all growth begins. If these Stoic strategies stirred something in you, give back by subscribing, not for the algorithm, but for the journey we're building together. Have you ever felt like your mind is spinning faster than the world around you? Like no matter how still you try to be, your thoughts keep racing, your emotions keep rising, and peace always seems just out of reach. You're not alone. In a world that constantly demands your attention and reacts with noise, learning how to stay calm is not a luxury, it's a survival skill, and that's where Stoicism steps in. This ancient philosophy, once practiced by Roman emperors and warriors alike, was never meant for monks on a mountain. It was made for people like us, for those walking through daily challenges, facing pressure, pain, uncertainty, and still choosing to respond with clarity and strength. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule with emotion. He ruled with reason. And now, his lessons, along with the wisdom of other Stoic masters, can help you do the same internally. In this video, you'll discover 10 Stoic keys that have the power to quiet your mind and guide your emotions back into your hands. These aren't abstract ideas. They are practical tools you can carry into your next conversation, your next decision, your next storm. But I'll say this, these lessons will challenge you. They'll demand effort. And if you stay until the end, the final key may just unlock the breakthrough you didn't know you needed. If this speaks to something real in you, feel free to stay with me and follow for more. Let's begin. 1. Keep things simple. In a world obsessed with more noise, more information, more opinions, the Stoic chooses less. Not out of laziness, but out of wisdom. Simplicity is not a lack, it is a form of power. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That's the core of Stoic simplicity, not accumulation, but elimination. Because the truth is, the more we carry, the harder it becomes to walk. The more we chase, the more we lose focus on what matters. Imagine you're holding a glass of water. One glass is light, but hold it out at arm's length for an hour and your muscles will tremble. A day and you collapse. That's what most of us are doing with unnecessary possessions, opinions, and emotional baggage. We carry them longer than we should. Attachments to old habits, to other people's expectations, to things that no longer serve us. But just like that glass, it's not the weight, it's how long we carry it. Simplicity is about setting that glass down. This doesn't mean you live like a monk or give away all your belongings. It means learning the difference between what is essential and what is excessive. It's understanding that inner peace is often buried under layers of external distractions. When your environment is cluttered, your mind is cluttered. When your schedule is packed with obligations that don't align with your purpose, your energy leaks. When you try to please everyone, you betray yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's not just moral advice, it's practical minimalism. It's the ability to clear your path by clearing your choices. So, how do you simplify? Start with your space. Look around you. What do you own that adds no value, no use, no meaning? Give it away. Then, simplify your commitments. What do you say yes to out of guilt or fear or habit? Start saying no. Guard your time like your life depends on it, because it does. Next, simplify your relationships. If someone constantly drains you, confuses you, manipulates you, they are clutter. Silence is not cruel, it is clarity. Even thoughts need decluttering. Most stress doesn't come from real danger. It comes from imaginary futures, unspoken insecurities, and the exhausting loop of comparison. Why are they ahead of me? What if I fail? Am I doing enough? These are the weeds that strangle the roots of focus and peace. Simplicity starts in the mind, and the simplest thought is this: what's mine to control, what's not? Let go of the second. master the first. There's a reason monks and warriors alike embrace simplicity. A monk seeks inner clarity. A warrior seeks sharpness in battle. But both understand chaos outside must be answered with stillness inside. The simpler your life, the fewer targets there are for chaos to hit. Simplicity also frees your attention. And attention is your most sacred resource. When your focus is no longer fractured by 1,000 pointless concerns, you begin to see clearly. You begin to feel again. You begin to live, not distracted, not consumed, but fully. Simplicity is not withdrawal, it is precision. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask, what can I add? Ask, what can I remove? Maybe it's a toxic habit. Maybe it's a useless item. Maybe it's a voice in your head that was never yours to begin with. The Stoic doesn't accumulate for status. He subtracts for clarity. And that's how simplicity becomes strength. Not a weakness, not a deprivation, but a deep alignment with what actually matters. You simplify not because you have less ambition, but because you want your ambition to hit the mark. A scattered life is a powerless one. A simplified life, that's where purpose can breathe. So keep it simple, clear the noise, sharpen your edge. Because in the end, what's unnecessary becomes invisible when you focus only on what's essential. Now let's talk about the next principle, because once you've simplified your outer world, the next battle is within, the voice you listen to and the story you keep telling yourself. 2. Always stay calm. Imagine standing in the center of a violent storm, wind howling, thunder crashing, debris flying all around. But there you are, completely still. Not because you're ignoring the chaos, but because you've learned that stillness, not panic, is power. That is the Stoic ideal. The world will rage, people will provoke, life will throw curveballs. But, as Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And the highest reaction, the rarest and most powerful, is calm. Staying calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've made the decision not to be ruled by what you cannot control. The Stoics taught that every external event is neutral until you give it meaning. Someone insults you? That's just noise. A deal falls through? That's just a shift in circumstance. A friend betrays you. Painful, yes, but the betrayal itself is not what breaks you. It's your reaction that does. Think about it. Most damage is done not by the event itself, but by the way we spiral after it. A minor setback becomes a meltdown. A disagreement becomes rage. We lose sleep over what someone said, over what might happen, but the calm mind is clear, focused, and free. It doesn't waste energy on what can't be changed. It doesn't react to every provocation. It responds with thought, with precision, with intention. There's a story about a Roman commander who once returned to camp after a surprise ambush. His men expected fury. They expected punishment. But instead, he simply gathered them, spoke with clarity, and made a new plan. No yelling, no blame, just action. That's Stoic leadership. And that's the kind of person you become when you practice calm, not someone who denies reality, but someone who shapes it. To stay calm, you need to train your mind to pause. That's where your power begins, in the pause. In the space between what happens and how you respond. Most people live in reaction mode. A message arrives and they panic. A challenge appears and they freeze. But you stop, you breathe, you think, and then you act. That's not weakness, that's mastery. Imagine being in a heated argument. Voices rise, emotions flare. But instead of lashing out, you simply observe. You don't shrink, you don't explode. You hold your ground and speak only when your words are steady. That moment, where you choose not to be dragged down, is where your authority begins. People notice. They remember the one who stayed grounded while everyone else lost control. That's silent power. That's unshakable presence. Calm also sharpens your judgment. When your emotions lead, you say things you don't mean. You make promises you can't keep. You rush decisions that cost you later. But when your mind is still, even for a few seconds, you see more clearly. You ask better questions. You find better answers. You don't let anger make your choices. You don't let fear write your story. But calm doesn't just happen. It's built like a muscle, like a habit. You build it every time you don't respond to that provocation. Every time you let a petty insult pass. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of reacting to escape it. Over time, what used to trigger you no longer even stirs you. Not because you're numb, but because you've become sovereign over your own emotions. And the most powerful calm isn't cold. It's warm. It's the kind of calm that walks into a room and settles everyone else. It's the kind of calm that people trust, not because it dominates, but because it doesn't flinch. Think of the Stoics, not as stone-faced men, but as souls on fire with conviction, who chose reason over rage, clarity over chaos. So next time life pushes, don't push back. Don't fight the wave. Stand still. Let it pass. And when the dust settles, you'll still be standing with your mind intact, your peace protected, and your strength undiminished. Calm doesn't mean you're passive. It means you're prepared. It means you've stopped letting the world decide your mood. And that's how you win. Not by overpowering, but by outlasting. Because storms will come. That's certain. But they don't have to enter you. The eye of the storm is always calm. Be that center. Now that you've mastered the pause, the next step is learning to train the voice inside your mind, because true calm begins not in your silence to the world, but in your silence to your own chaos. 3. Stay in the moment. The past is a shadow, the future is a mist, and yet most people spend their lives chasing one and fearing the other. They replay old regrets like broken records or fast forward through tomorrow's fears, as if dread will somehow prepare them for what hasn't even happened yet. But the Stoics teach something far more liberating. All you ever truly own is this moment, right now. And in that truth lies your freedom. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. The present is where life is happening, not yesterday, not someday, now. And if you can learn to anchor your mind here in this breath, this choice, this step, you can escape the prison of regret and the illusion of control." Let me tell you a simple story. A man was once asked how he managed to stay so calm and focused despite leading a company, raising a family, and handling a chronic illness. He smiled and said, "Because I only deal with what's in front of me. When I'm with my son, I'm just with him. When I'm at work, I give it my focus. And when my illness flares, I breathe through it. Not through what I fear might happen, but through what is happening." That's the Stoic mindset. It's not about denying the past or ignoring the future. It's about refusing to live anywhere else but here. Because every time you replay the past, you're dragging what's already done into a moment where it doesn't belong. And every time you imagine worst-case futures, you're placing burdens on your shoulders that haven't even come to pass, and may never will. The present is all that is real. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully. Confine yourself to the present. Not because the past doesn't matter, but because your power to change anything always begins now. You can't rewrite yesterday's choices. You can only make better ones today. You can't predict tomorrow's outcome, but you can prepare for it by showing up fully now, with intention, with focus, with discipline. Think about how much time you've wasted mentally arguing with the past, rethinking what you should have said, regretting what you didn't do, or stressing about what might go wrong next week. And what if you used that same energy to be fully present with the task in front of you, with the person beside you, with your breath, your values, your purpose? What if, just for today, you stopped wandering through time in your head and started living in the one place where real change can happen? That is the power of presence. It makes your life sharper. It turns simple actions into sacred rituals. A walk becomes reflection. A conversation becomes connection. A task becomes mastery. But when your mind is split, half in yesterday's wounds, half in tomorrow's worries, you lose that power. You live in fragments. Living in the present isn't passive. It's not sitting around waiting for something to happen. It's full engagement. It's waking up each morning and saying, what's mine to do today? What's one thing I can give my full attention to? The Stoics weren't monks on a mountain. They were emperors, teachers, workers, warriors. They faced the same demands of life. And still, they trained themselves to focus on the day, the moment, the step. Even in hardship, the present gives you clarity. If you're in pain, your mind will try to add to it by reminding you of all the past pain or imagining how much worse it might get. But the Stoic says, no, let's deal with what's here. One breath, one response, one decision. When you focus only on the current challenge, not the entire mountain, it becomes manageable. This isn't easy. Your mind will want to drift. It'll want to relive the conversation that hurt you, or jump ahead to the result you haven't seen yet. But every time you catch yourself and bring your attention back to now, you're rewiring your mind for strength. You're reclaiming your power, because nothing outside of the present is under your control, but everything in it is. And that's the secret. Presence is not just peaceful, it's powerful. When you show up fully here, you make sharper choices. You speak with more clarity. You feel deeper joy in small things. You build a stronger future, not by obsessing over it, but by laying its foundation today. So whatever you're facing, whether it's a project, a problem, or just the simple beauty of a quiet morning, be here for it. Let go of what's gone. Don't borrow fear from what hasn't arrived. Stand where your feet are and do what matters most now. Because once you learn to master the present moment, you'll find that everything else begins to fall into place. And that's exactly where we're heading next. The quiet strength that comes from doing what matters with full intent. 4. Do what you want to say. In a time where everyone is talking, posting, announcing, updating, the Stoic walks another path. He doesn't speak to impress. He acts with purpose, because in the end, real worth is measured not by what we say we'll do, but by what we quietly accomplish. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." It's not a suggestion, it's a call to action. Words, after all, can be decoration, but action is truth. You see it everywhere. People declare their goals, their plans, their ambitions, hoping the world will cheer them into movement. I'm going to start this. I'm planning to change that. But the more they talk, the less they act. The more they chase validation, the less energy they have to follow through. And that's the trap. The illusion that saying something is the same as doing it. But the Stoic knows better. He doesn't announce his ambition to everyone who will listen. He builds quietly. He works without the need for approval. He understands that greatness doesn't shout. It simply becomes undeniable. And when the results appear, people don't remember the speech. They remember the outcome. Think of a blacksmith in a workshop. No one sees the hours of swinging the hammer, the burns, the failures, the long nights. But one day, the sword is forged, strong, balanced, beautiful, and the world notices. Not because the blacksmith talked about it, but because the work spoke for itself. That's the mindset you need. Quiet, focused effort. Not for applause, not for validation, but for the integrity of your own soul. When you build without noise, you're free. You're not distracted by likes or comments or comparisons. You're not trying to be impressive. You're just being real. You're rooted in discipline. The truth is, the moment you start doing the work for attention, you've already lost your center. You've turned your craft into a performance. But when you do the work for its own sake, for the clarity it gives you, the strength it builds in you, you become something far more powerful, someone who doesn't need to be seen to be proud. And the irony, that's when people start to notice. Not when you tell them what you're going to do, but when they see what you've done. Not because you shouted, but because your discipline echoed louder than any announcement ever could. Let's make this practical. Ask yourself, do you talk more about what you want, or do you spend more time working toward it? Do you need to tell others your every move, or can you stay silent, knowing the results will do the speaking? If you want to be a writer, write. If you want to get strong, train. If you want to build something lasting, stop narrating every step and focus on the next brick. The world doesn't need your promises. It needs your proof. This doesn't mean you hide. It means you don't perform. You don't seek permission. You don't wait to be understood. You act, and you let your actions define your character. This is where real confidence comes from, not from being loud, but from being certain. Certain in your vision, certain in your discipline, certain that the world's recognition is not your fuel, your purpose is. And here's the most powerful shift of all. When you live this way, you stop needing to impress anyone. You free yourself from the exhausting loop of external validation. You stop chasing admiration, and instead you earn quiet respect, first from yourself and then from the world, when the world is ready to notice. Stoicism is not a philosophy of flashy declarations. It's a philosophy of quiet, relentless refinement. It's about closing the gap between what you say and what you do until they are one and the same. Until your life becomes your message. Until people don't need to ask you who you are. They can see it in how you carry yourself, how you move, how you endure. So let others talk. Let them advertise their next big thing. Let them crave the spotlight. You keep showing up. You keep building, you keep doing, and one day, when they ask how you did it, you'll smile, not because you finally get to speak, but because you never needed to. Keep your head down, let your work lift you up, let your silence be sharp, let your results be loud, because in the end, the ones who rise the furthest are not those who made the most noise, but those who made the most progress. Now that you've grounded yourself in action over words, it's time to go even deeper toward the root of strength itself, doing the hard things even when no one is watching. 5. Every problem is a chance to learn. No one escapes hardship. No one walks a path without obstacles. But what sets the Stoic apart is how he sees those obstacles, not as reasons to stop, but as opportunities to grow. The Stoics believed that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. Every problem, every setback, every failure is a moment to sharpen your character, not weaken it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just a poetic phrase, it's a practical mindset. When something blocks your path, don't retreat, don't complain. Ask yourself, what is this here to teach me? Most people see a challenge and say, why me? The Stoic sees the same challenge and says, "What now?" That shift from frustration to curiosity is where real power begins. Because the truth is, nothing reveals your true nature like pressure. Anyone can be calm when things are easy. Anyone can pretend to be wise when nothing tests them. But when life strikes hard, when the plan fails, when the door closes, when the person you trusted disappoints you, that's when your philosophy is tested. That's when your mindset is revealed. Think about a time you failed. Maybe you made a bad call. Maybe you trusted the wrong person. Maybe you lost something you thought was secure. Now ask yourself, what did it teach you? Were you forced to get smarter, tougher, more disciplined? Did you gain clarity about what you really want or who you can count on? If you paid attention, if you took notes, then that failure didn't break you, it built you. That's how the Stoic turns pain into power. He doesn't wish for ease, he trains for difficulty. Because he knows that a life without struggle is a life without strength. It's easy to hope for a smooth road. But what you should really hope for is the kind of mindset that can handle a rough one. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." And he was right. Muscles don't grow unless they're strained. The mind is the same. When you face a problem, you're forced to adapt. You learn to think in new ways. You develop resourcefulness. You become more patient, more precise, more aware. These are not small gains, they're the traits of resilience. So the next time something goes wrong, really wrong, pause. Instead of reacting with anger or self-pity, ask, what is this trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you to slow down. Maybe it's showing you a flaw in your plan. Maybe it's preparing you for something even harder down the line. But you only gain that wisdom if you choose to see the challenge as a lesson. The Stoics weren't unrealistic. They didn't deny that pain hurts or that failure stings. But they also knew that how you interpret your suffering changes what it becomes. A problem can either be a wall or a mirror. It can block your way or show you who you really are. And sometimes it's both. Take the example of someone training for a marathon. Midway through training, they get injured. Most people would quit, frustrated that their body let them down. But the Stoic sees this as a moment to train something else. Patience, humility, the discipline to recover fully, the strategy to rebuild stronger. The race is still there, but now the mindset is sharper. The perspective is deeper. Even daily problems, delays, arguments, unexpected losses can be turned into training. Life is not punishing you, it's preparing you. And every time you treat a problem as a lesson, you grow, you gain experience, and more importantly, you become less reactive. You stop fearing setbacks because you've learned how to use them. Over time, you begin to develop a quiet confidence. Not because you believe things will go perfectly, but because you trust yourself to rise no matter what happens. That's the ultimate Stoic power, not the absence of pain, but the ability to turn pain into progress. And here's the deeper truth. Most people don't grow when life is easy. They grow when life demands it, when they're forced to dig deeper, to rethink, to reforge themselves. So don't wish away your problems. Don't hope for comfort, hope for strength. Train for storms, because the stronger your mind, the more grateful you become for the challenges that once scared you. The next time life pushes back, don't collapse. Lean in, use it. Let it teach you something you didn't know about yourself. Let it refine you, because every problem contains a lesson. And every lesson, if you're willing to learn, brings you one step closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. And once you embrace that truth, you're ready for the next level, not just learning from your struggles, but leading with quiet resilience that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. 6. You have happiness inside you. The world will try to convince you that happiness is something you chase, that it's hidden in achievements, in possessions, in praise, or in the approval of others. It'll tell you that you'll finally be content when you make more money, when you look a certain way, when people recognize your worth. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that real happiness, the kind that lasts, is not something you find out there. It's something you build in here. Epictetus once said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." The moment your happiness depends on anything outside of you, you become its prisoner. If your peace rises and falls with someone else's opinion, with the outcome of a project, with the behavior of people or the conditions of the world, then it was never truly yours to begin with. Think about it. Possessions break. Circumstances shift. People leave. The things that feel stable today can vanish tomorrow. But if your sense of joy, your strength, your gratitude comes from within, then no storm can take it from you. That's the freedom the Stoics fought for, not the ability to control everything, but the power to control your response, your perspective, your inner world. So how do you begin to build this kind of unshakable happiness? Start by getting to know yourself, not the self you perform for the world, but the one underneath. Ask yourself what actually brings you peace, not what impresses others. Ask what kind of life would still feel meaningful, even if no one ever clapped for you. That's the foundation. Self-knowledge, self-respect, self-honesty. Then, practice gratitude not as a motivational quote, but as a daily way of seeing. Look around you. Breathe. Notice what hasn't gone wrong today. Notice the things you've survived, the meals you've eaten, the people who stayed, the quiet moments that passed without drama. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise. It rewires your mind to focus on what's present, not what's missing. Happiness also comes from resilience, the ability to face hardship without losing yourself. Life will test you. That's not a threat. That's a promise. But the Stoic doesn't panic when things fall apart, because he never expected the outside world to hold the key to his peace. He has prepared himself. He has built emotional strength, like armor forged through repeated trials. So when loss arrives, when plans change, when life takes something away, he remains upright. Wounded maybe, but not broken. Because his joy was never built on sand. You don't need to wait for everything to be perfect to feel at peace. In fact, peace that depends on perfection is the most fragile kind. The Stoic finds happiness even in difficulty because he sees every challenge as a chance to grow and every simple pleasure as a reason to be thankful. A warm drink, a sincere conversation, a quiet walk, a moment of reflection. These don't make headlines, but they make a life. Let's be honest. Sometimes you'll forget this. You'll get caught in the chase. You'll scroll through other people's highlight reels and start questioning your own life. You'll feel that old hunger, the one that whispers you're not enough until you prove something. But that's the moment to return to yourself. To remember that no title, no relationship, no object will ever fill a spiritual void. Only inner alignment can do that. Seneca said, "A wise man is content with himself." And that doesn't mean he isolates or becomes indifferent. It means he no longer waits for the world to give him permission to feel whole. His joy is earned through practice, through reflection, through discipline, through choosing to stay grounded in who he is, not what he has. That's your task now. Not to chase happiness, but to cultivate it. To realize it's not a destination, it's a relationship you build with yourself, one choice at a time. When you stop outsourcing your joy, you take your power back. You stop needing to be seen to feel worthy. You stop waiting for circumstances to be ideal. You become the source, not the seeker. And when you live this way, calm, content, whole from within, you'll find that nothing outside you can truly shake you. You'll be grateful, not because everything is easy, but because you've finally stopped handing your peace over to things you can't control. That's what it means to be truly powerful, not to dominate the world, but to remain undisturbed by it. And once you've reclaimed that inner stillness, you're ready to carry it with you into the next lesson, how to respond with wisdom, not impulse, when the world tries to test your calm. 7. Do not cause needless fuss. Every day we are invited into other people's chaos. A comment here, a disagreement there, a bit of gossip that demands your reaction, a situation that feels urgent but means nothing to your purpose. And before you know it, you're drained, not because life is hard, but because you gave your energy to things that didn't deserve it. The Stoics saw this clearly. Marcus Aurelius warned us not to be disturbed by things that are not within our control, and even more, to avoid being disturbed by things that never really concerned us in the first place. Most emotional exhaustion doesn't come from doing hard things. It comes from doing pointless things, from chasing every argument, from trying to fix what isn't yours to fix, from being pulled into the emotional weather of other people's storms. That's the noise. That's the unnecessary weight that slowly bends the spine, clouds the mind, and steals your peace without making your life better. You don't need to have an opinion about everything. You don't need to correct everyone who's wrong. You don't need to fight battles that don't feed your soul. Every time you choose not to engage in nonsense, you conserve your energy for something greater, your discipline, your focus, your mission. Imagine a man walking through a marketplace. Everyone's shouting. Everyone wants something from him. One vendor yells an insult. Another waves a trinket in his face. A crowd forms, arguing about politics. But he keeps walking, not because he's blind, not because he's arrogant, but because he knows exactly where he's going. That is Stoic strength, not reacting to every noise, not proving yourself at every turn, but moving through life with clarity. Now think of how often you've been sidetracked by things that didn't need your involvement. A conversation you should have walked away from, a petty feud online, a piece of gossip that led nowhere. Did any of those things bring you closer to peace, closer to your goals, or did they just pull you further from yourself? Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And one of the reasons why is because we let ourselves suffer for things that don't even matter. We worry about what someone said behind our back. We overthink something that didn't need a second thought. We invite stress into our lives because we haven't yet learned the power of selective attention. So, here's the question the Stoic always asks. Does this need my attention? Not, do I feel something about this? But, is this my responsibility? Will this make me wiser, stronger, better? If the answer is no, let it pass. Let the drama play itself out without you. Let the fire burn without adding your fuel. Because just because something is loud doesn't mean it's important. When you remove yourself from the chaos, you give yourself the gift of focus. And from that focus, you begin to live on your own terms again. You build something quiet, something real, peace that can't be shaken by opinions, by conflict, by the noise of the crowd. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means becoming deliberate. You choose your battles. You choose your words. You choose your presence. You learn that protecting your mental and emotional clarity is not selfish. It's necessary. Because a distracted man can't lead, a reactive man can't grow, a chaotic man can't build peace. There will always be something trying to pull you out of yourself, a provocation, a crisis, a drama waiting for your entrance. But you don't have to show up. Your power lies in the decision not to engage, not because you're avoiding life, but because you're building a better one. You don't have to fight everything to prove your strength. Sometimes the strongest move is walking away. Sometimes silence is the sharpest response. Sometimes the best strategy is none at all, just stillness. And that stillness, that refusal to be pulled, is where your freedom begins. You stop reacting to the world and start acting from within. You stop absorbing stress and start guarding your peace like it's sacred, because it is. So, the next time the world tries to bait you into drama, into distraction, into noise, ask yourself one thing. Will this matter in 5 years? If not, let it go. Recenter, redirect, refocus, because your energy is limited. Your peace is priceless. And your time is too valuable to waste proving a point in a story you were never meant to be part of. And once you reclaim that peace, you open up space for what truly matters. The quiet discipline of building your life, your character, and your purpose without interruption. That's the path we're walking next. 8. Be not affected by what other people say. There's a kind of quiet freedom that few ever taste. It's not found in wealth or status or praise. It's found in this: no longer letting the opinions of others dictate how you live. That, the Stoics taught, is real power. Because as long as your sense of self is tied to what others think, you'll never be free. You'll always be adjusting, shrinking, apologizing, performing for approval that fades as quickly as it arrives. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because the path to truth, to growth, to inner strength will often go against the crowd. And if you need the crowd's applause, you'll never take the steps that truly matter. You'll silence your own voice just to fit into a story that was never yours. Think about how much energy we waste worrying about what people might say. We second-guess a decision because someone might not approve. We hesitate to pursue a dream because someone might think it's unrealistic. We filter our words, our actions, even our personality, just to avoid judgment. And in doing so, we trade authenticity for comfort. But here's the cost: we lose ourselves. The Stoic path says no more. It says the opinions of others are not facts, they're noise. Just reflections of their own fears, biases, and projections. And if you let that noise drown out your inner compass, you'll wake up one day living a life designed by everyone but you. There's a story of a man walking with his son and their donkey. As they pass through town, someone laughs and says, "Fools, why walk when you have a donkey?" So the man lifts his son onto the donkey. A little farther down, someone scoffs. What a selfish child, riding while his old father walks. So the man switches places. Then another person says, "What a cruel man, riding while his child walks beside him." So finally, both of them get on the donkey. And yet again, someone sneers. How cruel! 2 people burdening that poor animal. Eventually they carry the donkey. The lesson? If you try to please everyone, you'll end up doing something ridiculous and exhausting yourself in the process. Your peace cannot come from popularity. It must come from alignment, from knowing what you believe, what you stand for, and what you are building, and refusing to let anyone pull you off course. Ask yourself, am I living according to my values? If the answer is yes, then let that be enough. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your principles. You don't need permission to live with integrity. This doesn't mean you ignore all feedback. The wise man listens. He reflects. But he doesn't bend every time someone raises an eyebrow. He knows the difference between constructive wisdom and empty opinion. One helps you grow. The other distracts you from the work. And let's be honest, it takes courage to walk this way. To trust yourself when others doubt you. To stand tall when your choices are misunderstood. But that's the kind of courage the Stoics valued. Not dramatic defiance, but the quiet strength to remain rooted in your truth, even when the world tries to shake it. Imagine how many people never write their book, never start their business, never walk away from the wrong relationship, just because they're afraid of what someone might say. But opinions don't pay your bills. They don't live with your regrets. They don't carry your burdens. You do. So live a life you can carry. One where the choices you make reflect who you are, not who others want you to be. Seneca wrote, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." Approval is external. Alignment is internal. And when you shift your focus inward, when you start making decisions based on values instead of validation, something incredible happens. Your confidence becomes real. Not loud, not forced, but quiet and unshakable. Because it no longer needs to be fed. Let others have their opinions. Let them speak. Let them misunderstand. That's their right. But don't let it change your direction. Don't let it steal your fire. The world is filled with noise, but your inner voice, your values, your vision must be louder, at least to you. Because when the day ends and the crowd is gone and it's just you and your thoughts, the only question that matters is this: did I live today in a way that's true to me? If you can say yes, not because it was easy, but because it was right, then you've already won. And with that kind of inner strength, you're ready to take the next step. Not just ignoring opinions, but mastering the art of discipline in the silence where true power is forged. 9. It is good to be patient. We live in a world addicted to speed. We want quick answers, instant results, fast success. We scroll, we refresh, we chase the next thing, and if it doesn't come soon enough, we start to doubt ourselves, the process, even the worth of the goal. But the Stoics offer us a different rhythm, one that doesn't rush, one that honors the value of time. They remind us that anything truly meaningful, growth, mastery, deep relationships, character, takes time. And the virtue that carries us through that time is patience. Seneca once said, "No great thing is created suddenly, not a strong mind, not a wise heart, not a lasting legacy." And yet, how often do we abandon the path just because the results don't come fast enough? We start a project, face a few setbacks, and immediately question whether it's worth it. We plant the seed, but if the tree doesn't grow by morning, we think we've failed. That's not failure, that's impatience. And impatience, more than anything, pulls us away from the steady progress that creates real change. Think of anything great in your life right now. Maybe a skill, a friendship, a lesson you've earned. It didn't appear overnight. It was built, slowly, quietly, day after day. And yet somehow we forget that every worthwhile result is just the visible tip of an invisible process. Hours of effort, moments of doubt, decisions to keep going when nothing seemed to move. The Stoic embraces that process. He understands that each step, no matter how small, is part of the journey. And he doesn't measure his worth by how fast he gets there. He measures it by how well he walks the path. If he's making progress, he's patient. If he's growing in silence, he's content. If things take longer than expected, he doesn't panic, because he never expected anything to be quick in the first place. Let me share an image. Picture a blacksmith forging a blade. Every strike of the hammer seems small. The metal bends slowly, The form takes shape 1 inch at a time. If he rushed it, the blade would break. If he lost patience, the steel would remain unfinished. But because he trusts the process, because he knows that each blow matters, he endures the repetition. And one day he holds in his hands something strong, something sharp, something real. That's how patience works. Quiet strength, repeated effort, faith in time. We must learn to apply this to our own lives. When you're trying to change a habit, don't expect instant transformation. Progress is messy, growth is slow, but with patience, each day becomes a layer of strength. When you're healing from loss or failure, don't rush the return. Let time do its work. When you're building something meaningful, a career, a relationship, a better version of yourself, don't look for shortcuts. Look for depth. And here's the truth. Impatience is often just fear in disguise. The fear that it won't work, that you're wasting time, that others are ahead of you. But the Stoic doesn't fear delay. He respects timing. He knows that nature doesn't rush, and yet everything unfolds as it should. So he stays grounded. He lets things take the time they need. And in doing so, he remains steady while others burn out, chasing speed. Patience also teaches us to find meaning in the process itself. You begin to appreciate the days when nothing seems to change. You start to see that the discipline to show up, even when progress is invisible, is the very thing that changes you. You don't just become more skilled, you become more resilient, more focused, more at peace with the fact that not everything has to happen right now. And that's a powerful shift, because when you stop rushing, you start noticing. You notice how far you've already come. You notice the small wins, the quiet lessons, the subtle strength you've built. You stop looking for results to validate your journey and start living the journey as its own reward. So next time you feel behind, next time you wonder why it's taking so long, pause. Ask yourself, am I still walking forward? If the answer is yes, then you are exactly where you need to be. You are becoming the kind of person who can carry the success you're chasing. You're earning the life you're building. The Stoics teach us that good things don't just come with time, they come because of time. Because you didn't give up, because you kept showing up, because you trusted the value of each small step. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, that's power. So don't rush your growth. Don't envy someone else's speed. Stay steady, stay disciplined. Let the results come when they're ready, because they will. And when they do, you'll know they didn't happen overnight. They happened because you were patient enough to earn them. And with that kind of patience in your heart, you're now ready for the final lesson, how to master the discipline of focusing only on what truly matters. 10. Keep going. Even though things are hard, life doesn't owe you an easy path, and the Stoics never promised one. What they taught instead is that hardship is not a detour from the journey, it is the journey. Obstacles aren't the enemy of success, they are its foundation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the mindset that transforms setbacks into stepping stones. When things get hard, and they will, that is your invitation to keep going. You see, persistence isn't just about stubbornness. It's about vision. It's the quiet decision to hold your ground, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when your emotions want to quit. Anyone can be enthusiastic on day one. Anyone can believe when things are easy. But the Stoic finds strength in the storm. Not because he enjoys suffering, but because he understands that struggle is the forge where resilience is shaped. Think about this. Every person you admire for their strength, every person who's built something worthwhile, has walked through failure, through doubt, through moments where the easiest option was to stop, but they didn't. They remembered their why. And when you remember your why, your reason, your mission, you can outlast anything that tries to stop you. Maybe you've faced rejection. Maybe things aren't moving as fast as you hoped. Maybe you're tired. That's not weakness. That's life testing you. The Stoics would say, good. Let it test you. Let it press on you. Because every time you get back up, every time you refuse to retreat, you become someone more solid. Someone who isn't shaken by temporary outcomes because you're anchored to something deeper. There's a simple truth most people forget. Progress is rarely loud. It doesn't always feel good. It often looks like failure, especially in the middle of the process. But if you're still moving, even slowly, you're still becoming. And becoming is more important than arriving, because once you arrive, you'll realize it wasn't the achievement that changed you. It was everything you endured along the way. Let's take a simple example. Imagine someone training to run a marathon. They don't wake up one morning and run 26 miles. They train in pain. They run on days they don't feel like it. They push through cramps, bad weather, mental fatigue. But step by step, they build something. And when race day comes, it's not just their legs that carry them. It's every moment they chose not to give up. That's how Stoic persistence works. You don't need to conquer the whole mountain today. Just take one more step, and then another. And if you slip, fine. Stand back up. Slipping isn't the end. Quitting is. But you're not here to quit. You're here to become unshakable. Even in your darkest moments, there's something powerful about showing up, about saying, I'm still here. You don't need perfect motivation. You just need purpose. And when motivation fades, purpose remains. So when you feel like stopping, ask yourself, why did I start? What would I regret if I gave up now? Because the truth is, the road will never be smooth for long, but the bumps don't mean you're failing. They mean you're alive. They mean you're building something real. And the most important thing to build isn't the goal. It's the version of yourself that refuses to stop moving forward. The Stoic path isn't about appearing strong. It's about becoming strong through repetition, through endurance, through the quiet refusal to quit. Even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. And here's something to hold on to. Every time you persist, you set a precedent in your own mind. You teach yourself that you can be trusted, that when things get tough, you don't fold. You fight, you adapt, you endure, and that's self-trust. That's a kind of strength no one can take from you. So wherever you are right now, whether you're close to the finish line or still in the middle of your climb, don't give up. Even if the progress is slow, even if the results haven't arrived, keep going, because effort compounds, because growth isn't always visible, and because grit will carry you through long after talent or luck run out. And when you look back one day, you won't just be proud of what you achieved. You'll be proud of who you became along the way, the person who kept going no matter what. Now that you've learned to keep walking through the hard parts, remember this. The ultimate Stoic strength is knowing which direction you're walking in. And that's exactly where this journey leads. Clarity of purpose, guided by reason. What we give, our time, our wisdom, our quiet strength, is what truly endures. If this message helped you find calm, feel free to subscribe and stay close. Comment stillness within, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep walking. What if the loudest war you ever fight is the one no one else hears? There are days when your lips never move, but inside your skull, it's a battlefield. Your smile is steady, your routine looks fine, but your mind keeps circling the same darkness. Thoughts you never asked for show up like ghosts. Regrets you buried years ago knock on the door again. Your own voice betrays you. turning gentle doubts into sharp daggers. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to believe it. That you're too late, that you've messed up too much, that you're broken in ways no one could possibly understand. You laugh when you're supposed to. You nod on cue. You carry conversations, hit deadlines, return messages. On the outside, you're functioning, but on the inside, your mind keeps dragging you through fire. And the world, it applauds your strength while missing the struggle. No one sees the nights you lie awake staring into the dark, thinking yourself into exhaustion. No one hears the silent battles, the guilt, the shame, the fear, all rehearsed again and again until they become familiar noise. But this video isn't for the ones who are fine. It's not for the ones who've mastered the art of pretending. It's for those who feel like they're drowning behind a calm face. For those who are tired of their own thoughts being their worst enemy. For those who've screamed into pillows, wept in silence, and still showed up the next morning. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're simply human, carrying weight your mind was never taught how to hold. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But how do you access that power when your own mind feels like the battlefield? When every thought is a blade, when every silence is heavy, when every moment of stillness feels like a trap. That's where Stoicism comes in. Not as a bandage, not as blind positivity, but as a weapon. Calm, sharp, tested. It teaches you not to run from the storm, but to walk into it with eyes open. It doesn't ask you to deny your pain. It teaches you to use it. It's not a philosophy for the perfect. It's a practice for the wounded, the tired, the ones who are done letting fear wear their voice. So if something inside you has been quietly asking for strength, for stillness, for clarity, stay with this. Don't scroll. Don't escape. Let's walk into the storm together, not to be consumed by it, but to come out the other side with a mind no longer ruled by noise. This is not just another video. This is a reminder. You are not your thoughts, and you are not alone. Let's begin. You've been told your mind is broken, that the chaos inside means something is wrong with you. But what if that's the first lie? What if your mind isn't broken at all, just hijacked? Let's uncover the truth and take back control. This is where it begins. A. Understanding the inner battle. Number 1. Your mind is not a mirror, it's a weapon. Somewhere along the way you were told a comforting lie, that your mind is like a mirror, that it simply reflects the world around you, your environment, your circumstances, your emotions. That whatever you see or feel must be true because your mind is only showing you what is. It sounds harmless, but that belief is dangerous, because your mind doesn't just reflect, it distorts. It edits, it colors, it blends your past wounds, your deepest fears, your unresolved grief, and your hidden shame into a lens so warped that what you see isn't truth, it's a trap. You start believing that you're not good enough, that you're behind, that something inside you is broken. But none of that is real. It's not fact, it's perception. And perception, when left unexamined, becomes a prison. The real enemy isn't the world. It's not your circumstances. It's not other people. The real war is happening inside your skull. Behind your eyes, there's a battlefield. And if you're not trained, if you're not armed, you're already losing. The thoughts that run unchecked in your head are not harmless. Every loop of self-doubt, every whisper of fear, every replay of a past mistake, they're not just thoughts, they're weapons. And if you don't learn to master them, they'll master you. How many times have you destroyed your own peace without anyone else even lifting a finger? How many dreams have you buried because of a quiet voice inside that said, "You're not ready"? That voice doesn't scream, it slithers. It shows up in the quiet hours around 3 a.m. and feeds on your insecurities. It doesn't need to shout. It knows you're already listening, and worse, you believe it. Let's be clear. This isn't just self-doubt. This is mental sabotage. This is you handing your mind the blade and telling it exactly where to cut, and then wondering why you bleed. But here's the shift. Your mind isn't a mirror. It's a weapon, and like any weapon, it must be forged, sharpened, aimed. A sword left untrained doesn't defend you, it cuts you. A mind left untrained doesn't serve you, it imprisons you. But a trained mind, a disciplined mind, becomes the sharpest tool you'll ever wield. Imagine a soldier who walks into battle with no armor, no weapon, no strategy. That's what most people do every day. They enter the world unprepared, emotionally naked, mentally soft, and then wonder why they fall apart at the first sign of pressure. But a Stoic trains like a warrior. Not in the gym, not with machines, but in the mind. The battlefield is within, and the preparation is internal. Take this example. A young man wakes up to bad news, a job rejection, a message from someone who ghosted him, a reminder of something he failed at last year. His heart sinks, his stomach twists, and instantly a voice kicks in. Of course this happened. You're a failure. You always mess things up. You'll never catch up. By noon, he's spiraling, not because the world broke him, but because he never learned to challenge the voice that lives in his own mind. Now imagine the same man, but trained. He wakes up to the same news. He feels the same initial sting, but then he breathes, observes, steps back. He says to himself, "This is data, not destiny. I control how I respond." He doesn't spiral. He recalibrates. That is the difference between a mind that reflects and a mind that commands. The Stoics didn't aim to be happy all the time. They aimed to be in control. They knew the mind was a forge. You either melt in it or you shape something unbreakable. You must stop treating your mind like a canvas for random emotions. Start treating it like a forge for deliberate thought. And that means rejecting the passive role of mirror. Stop reflecting what hurts. Start creating what heals. Stop echoing fear. Start amplifying clarity. The next time your thoughts whisper, "You're behind," answer with, "I'm preparing." When they say, "You're not enough," answer, "I've barely started." This isn't wishful thinking. It's disciplined truth. It's rewiring the default pattern of your mind. Because the world doesn't care if you feel stuck. It keeps spinning. Life doesn't wait. If you don't train your mind to cut through noise, to rise above doubt, to move forward even when you feel like hiding, you'll be swept away by thoughts that were never true in the first place. So don't beg your mind to help you. Command it. Grab it by the collar and drag it into discipline. Show it what clarity looks like. Remind it that you are not a prisoner here. You are the master. And let me say this clearly. This is not about becoming emotionally numb. This is about becoming emotionally sovereign. The goal is not to silence all emotion. It's to stop letting untrained thought run your life like a tyrant. You want to change your life? Start with your inner language. Speak to yourself not like a victim, but like a general, with calm, with direction, with force. No more mirrors, no more echoes. Your mind is not here to reflect the world. It is here to shape your place within it. Treat it like the weapon it is. Sharpen it daily. Train it constantly. And when life comes swinging, let your thoughts cut through the chaos like a blade honed in fire. Because once your mind is forged, once it's no longer reactive but commanding, the world no longer dictates your peace. You do. Now let's go deeper. If your mind is a weapon, then it must be carried with clarity. And that means learning how to read pain, not as proof you're broken, but as the message that wakes you up. Let's move to number 2. Number 2, pain isn't proof. You're broken. It's the message you've ignored, that pain in your chest. The one that tightens every time a name is mentioned or a memory surfaces. That ache in your stomach that turns to fire when you think of what could have been. That isn't weakness. That isn't proof that you're broken. That's a message. That's your soul banging on the inside of your ribs, trying to get your attention, trying to break through the walls you've built just to keep functioning. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to wake you up. But we've been trained to treat pain like poison, to flinch at its first appearance, to numb it with distractions, scrolling endlessly, fake smiles, empty conversations, meaningless hookups, and noise. So much noise, but no matter how deep you try to bury that ache, it remembers. It knows your name, it knows where you sleep, and it will return the moment your guard slips. You think you're being punished. You tell yourself that maybe heartbreak is karma, that maybe the past is chasing you down because you deserve it. But that's not what pain is. Pain isn't a curse, it's a compass. It points to the parts of you that still need healing, the unfinished chapters, the unresolved truths, the dreams you've locked away and convinced yourself to forget. Pain is the architect of transformation. It's ruthless, honest, relentless, but never meaningless. If you're willing to face it, if you're willing to sit with it instead of silencing it, it will show you where the rot is, where the lie is, where the old version of you has expired and you're still trying to drag its corpse through life. That's why it hurts so badly, because something inside you knows it's time to let go, and yet you're still holding on. But instead of learning, most people lie. They say, "I'm fine." They pretend to move on. They act like it doesn't sting when a certain song plays or a certain photo shows up. But you know it still lives in your body. Your hands still tremble when the past whispers. Your voice still shakes when someone asks about a dream you buried. And your silence, it screams louder than anything you could ever say out loud. Marcus Aurelius didn't write about pain like a philosopher sipping wine under a calm sky. He wrote through war, through grief, through loss. The pain is not due to the thing itself, he said, but to your estimate of it. And that estimate, you can change it. You hold the blade. You decide if that pain will cut you down or carve you into something sharper, stronger. But most people don't fight back. They let pain define them. They stop being who they are and start becoming what hurt them. They wear the scar like a name tag. They turn heartbreak into identity. They adopt rejection like it's a life sentence. And before long, the fire inside goes cold. But if you've got even one flicker left, just a breath of fight, you don't let pain do the talking. You stare it down. You demand the truth it's trying to give you. Ask yourself, what is this suffering trying to teach me? What truth have I ignored for too long? What part of me has already outgrown this old wound? There's wisdom buried in the agony, but only if you're willing to dig. Let it burn. Let it shake you. Let it knock you down. But don't stay down. Stand up, eyes red, chest open, hands trembling if they must, and say it out loud. Thank you for the lesson, but you don't get to steer anymore. Because you are not what happened to you. You are not the one who was left, or overlooked, or dismissed. You are the one who lived through it and is still standing. And that makes you dangerous. That makes you powerful. If your heart still hurts, good. That means it still works. That means there's still something worth fighting for. And now that you've faced the pain, it's time to sharpen your focus, because what's coming next is not about surviving. but about reclaiming control. Let's keep going. Number 3, silence the voice that shrinks you. There's a voice in your head, not the one you speak with, not the voice you use when you introduce yourself to strangers or comfort your friends. No, this one whispers when no one's watching. It doesn't shout, it doesn't panic, but it slices. It waits patiently for that moment of hope and then poisons it with a single doubt. That voice has no face, but it wears your tone. It sounds like you. It feels like you, but it is not you. It's the voice you unknowingly built through years of silence, hesitation, and fear. You weren't born with this narrator. It was assembled, piece by piece, out of the ridicule you took personally, the disappointment you swallowed, the moments you walked it away. When everything in you wanted to step up, that voice gained strength every time you second-guessed your worth. Every time you were taught to sit down, stay quiet, or shrink your light. It watched you in those late-night moments when you stared at the ceiling and asked, "Why does it always fall apart for me?" It grew stronger when you didn't have an answer, and even stronger when you believed it was your fault. This inner critic is not here to protect you. It's a saboteur in disguise. It doesn't want truth. It wants power. Every time you delay your potential, it wins. Every time you talk yourself out of your own growth, it claps quietly. You think you're just being cautious or realistic, but no, that's the voice taking over. It's scripting your downfall in your own handwriting, and if you don't confront it, it will keep you small for the rest of your life. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young boxer. No real experience, not a lot of muscle, no legacy to stand on. But every morning he woke up before dawn and ran, alone. Every evening he shadow-boxed in a garage with cracked walls and no mirrors. And every night, the voice in his head told him he was wasting his time, that he'd never make it, that real fighters were born in stadiums, not silence. But he kept going. Every round, every blister, every missed punch, he fought not the opponent, but that voice. Until the day he stepped into the ring and won. Not because he was stronger, but because the voice had finally gone quiet. That's what it means to kill the narrator, because the real war is never between you and the world. It's between you and that inner leech that drains your confidence, your courage, your clarity. It mocks your every move, disguises hesitation as wisdom, and paints fear as practicality. It will never disappear on its own. You must confront it, drag it into the daylight, rip off its mask, and once you see it for what it is, a collection of false scripts written by pain and doubt, you can choose to replace it. You don't argue with that voice. You don't try to convince it. You overwrite it. You speak to yourself like a commander, not a critic. When it says, "You're not ready," you say, "No one starts ready." When it hisses, "You're going to fail," you smile and whisper, "Then I'll fail forward." When it tries to compare you to someone else, you lift your chin and reply, "Watch me catch up." This isn't about fake positivity. It's not about standing in front of a mirror chanting affirmations that mean nothing to you. It's about rewiring the entire narration, turning passive fear into fire-breathing command. You are not a passive passenger in your own mind. You are the sculptor. You are the general. You are the force. Every time that voice creeps in, slam the door, get aggressive, get surgical, replace every lie with action. Each time you move forward, no matter how small, you prove it wrong. Each time you honor your word to yourself, you chip away at its power. Discipline is your sword. Structure is your shield. Reps, books, silence, solitude, hunger, heat, these are your tools. You do not babysit your insecurities. You confront them. You do not entertain the narrator. You exile it. And in its place you build an inner voice rooted in truth and resilience. You want peace in your mind? Then stop feeding the narrator that thrives on chaos. Break the rhythm. Burn the script. Rewrite it all in bold, deliberate ink. One step at a time. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not behind. You are simply tired of being ruled by a voice that never belonged to you. So take the pen back, speak your own command, and silence that narrator for good. Because next, we move into the environment itself, into the world around your mind. And if the mind must be forged, then so must the space it lives in. Let's step into number 4. Number 4, leave the chaos. You keep calling home. You say you want peace, but night after night you crawl back into chaos and call it comfort. You say your mind feels heavy, overrun, exhausted, yet you keep returning to the very places and people that wage war on your clarity. You keep scrolling through envy like it's a habit you can't break. You keep letting drama seep into your bloodstream like a drug you swore you'd quit. And then you wonder why your thoughts feel like a prison. Let's be honest. You don't want peace. You want comfort in hell. You want calm without sacrifice. You want healing while still clinging to everything that hurt you. But Stoicism doesn't promise you peace for free. It demands that you make space for it. And space means leaving. Walking away from what doesn't serve your soul, even if it's familiar, even if it's wrapped in nostalgia, even if you once called it home. There's no peace in a battlefield you refuse to exit. Peace doesn't grow in madness. It gets buried under it. You can light all the candles, read all the quotes, whisper all the mantras, but if you keep letting toxicity walk through your front door, don't be surprised when serenity never shows up. Meditation won't save you if you're texting ghosts by lunchtime. Journaling won't help if you're still having the same draining conversations every weekend. You are not healing, you're rehearsing. You're trying to polish chains and call them jewelry, and you wonder why your spirit feels heavy. Marcus Aurelius spoke of retreating into oneself, but too many people have turned their inner world into a nightclub, loud, messy, flooded with distractions. You keep turning the music up, hoping the noise will drown out the pain. But you don't need more noise. You need silence. You need to shut the door, turn off the music, and listen to what your soul's been trying to say. Ask yourself, who are you still trying to rescue by destroying yourself? What do you keep entertaining that you should have outgrown years ago? Who are you hoping will finally bring you peace, even though every interaction feels like slow suffocation? Some people bring knives, not hugs. Some environments don't support growth. They shrink you. Some habits wear masks. They pretend to be comfort, but are executioners in disguise. And every time you stay in those mental war zones, you trade your sovereignty for survival. You give up your crown just to stay where you're familiar. You want real change? Leave the room that's burning you alive, even if everyone you love is still sitting inside. Walk away from the noise that fuels your overthinking. Cut off the oxygen, unfollow faces that make you feel small, block the voices that drain your light and laugh when you fade. This isn't coldness, this is clarity. In war, mercy to the enemy is cruelty to yourself. And sometimes the enemy is the comfort you refuse to outgrow. Choosing peace will look like selfishness to people who benefited from your chaos. Let them talk. Let them twist your story. You're not here for applause anymore. You've burned that stage. You're not bleeding to keep others warm. Let them freeze. From this point on, peace is no longer a favor you beg for. It's a kingdom you protect. You are a fortress now, and the moat around you is built from detachment, discernment, and discipline. You no longer entertain what drains you. You no longer explain your boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding you. And once you finally walk, truly walk, out of those emotional combat zones, you'll experience something rare. Silence that isn't empty, but sacred. Solitude that doesn't feel lonely, but alive. Stillness that's not boring, but powerful. You'll sit with yourself, and for the first time, it will feel like home. Because peace was never something you had to search for. It was never out there. It was waiting inside you, hidden beneath everything you refused to let go of. Now you've made space for it. Now you're ready for what's next. Because the fire that comes after stillness is not chaos, it's creation. Let's move forward. Number 5. You're not behind. You're in the forge. One of the most brutal lies your mind can whisper to you is this: you're behind. Behind in life, behind in love, behind in purpose. You look around and everyone seems to be soaring, hitting milestones, celebrating wins, living out highlight reels in front of your face. And you're in the mud, clawing forward, exhausted, wondering what you missed, what you did wrong, and why life feels like it's sprinting ahead without you. You start comparing. Their polished victories against your private struggles, their filtered smiles against your sleepless nights. And in that silent comparison, you fall into a trap. You believe the timeline they sold you. You believe the myth that if you haven't made it by now, you never will. That something is wrong with you, that you're late, that you're lost. But here's the truth no one told you. You're not behind. You're being forged. That pressure you're feeling, that heat, that weight, that endless resistance, it's not a punishment, it's transformation. Fire doesn't break steel, it strengthens it. And what you're walking through now, no matter how heavy, is not meant to bury you. It's meant to burn away what no longer serves you. So you can emerge leaner, clearer, sharper. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't envy the ease of others. They respected the forge. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste his life measuring himself against others. He didn't ask what it meant to be a good man. He became one. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And that's the call to you right now. Stop watching someone else's race. Stop measuring your progress against borrowed timelines. You're not behind, you're in the fire. And fire is where real power is born. Every setback you're feeling, every heartbreak, every unanswered question, every quiet moment when you're tempted to give up. It's not life punishing you, it's life building you. Rejection, that's redirection. Delay, that's preparation. Struggle, that's sharpening. It's all working on you in silence, where no one else can see. We live in a world obsessed with speed, with instant results, with overnight success. But what you're building, what's being carved into your soul right now, that kind of strength doesn't happen fast. It doesn't look pretty, but it lasts. It endures. It survives storms. It outlives trends. And when everything else falls away, you'll still be standing. So stop waiting for the world to clap for you. You don't need applause to move forward. You don't need validation to rise. You're not here to impress. You're here to become. You're not a moment. You're a force. And forces don't get noticed right away. They reshape the world quietly until one day the world wakes up and can't ignore them anymore. This transformation you're going through, it's done in shadows, in sweat, in silence. At 3 a.m. when you're fighting thoughts no one knows about, when you keep showing up even when it feels pointless, when you move 1 inch forward even when the weight says stop, that's the test. That's the proving ground. And when you emerge from it, because you will, you won't just be strong. You'll be unshakable. You'll walk into rooms with a calm no one can explain. You'll carry a presence forged in private battles, and people will wonder how you got so steady, so focused, so certain. But they won't know the nights, they won't know the silence, they won't know the fire, and that's fine. You didn't rise for them to understand. You rose because you chose not to give up. You're not late. You're right on time. You're not broken. You're becoming, and you're not falling behind. You're getting forged into something the world isn't ready for. So keep going, keep sharpening, keep becoming. If you feel that truth in your chest, drop a simple forging in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this isn't the end. This is where the real journey begins. You've walked through the fire. You've faced the lies, the pain, the noise, and the inner war. Now it's time to go further, not just to endure, but to lead. What comes next isn't survival, it's strategy. Let's sharpen the tools. Let's forge the mind. Part B begins now. B. 5 Stoic strategies to forge an unbreakable mind. Strategy 1. Stand still in the storm. Stillness is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. People hear the word and imagine monks on mountaintops, sitting in silence for hours, or retreats in the middle of nowhere, far away from all the chaos of modern life. But Stoicism teaches something far deeper. Real stillness isn't about escaping the world. It's about facing it head-on and remaining unmoved. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing at the right time. With composure, it means staying calm when every part of you wants to react. That kind of stillness is not born in peace. It's built in pressure. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, didn't write his meditations from a sanctuary. He wrote them surrounded by war, civil unrest, political betrayal, plagues. His world was on fire, and yet his writings are calm, collected, anchored. Why? Because his stillness didn't come from his environment. It came from mastery over his inner world. Today, most of us live like mental pinballs, bouncing from notification to stress to memory to fear. A delay in traffic, and we explode. A cold text and our mood crashes. One comment online, and we spiral into self-doubt. The storm isn't out there. It's in here, inside our minds. And if we don't train for it, we get swept away by every small wind. Stillness is the decision to remain rooted when everything else tells you to run. It's not passive. It's not weakness. It's the highest form of control, the kind of control that allows you to feel without reacting, to observe anger without becoming it, to stand in the fire and breathe. And it starts in the little moments. Not grand events, not life or death crises. It starts in traffic, when someone cuts you off and your hands tighten around the wheel. It starts in conversations, when someone says something that hits a nerve and you feel the urge to strike back. It starts in heartbreak, when silence hurts more than words and you want to beg, lash out, explain. Stillness is when you choose not to. You don't need to be a Stoic sage to practice this. You need only awareness and repetition. The next time your chest tightens, breathe deeper. The next time your mind screams to defend itself, stay quiet. The next time fear knocks on your door, open it, then calmly shut it without saying a word. This isn't suppression. This is discipline. Suppression runs away. Discipline stands tall. It watches, waits, and acts only when the time is right. Not because it's afraid, but because it understands power is wasted on impulse. That's what stillness gives you, power with precision. You're not just reacting less, you're leading more. You're no longer a slave to your emotions. You're their commander. And every time you choose to pause instead of panic, to breathe instead of break, you build armor. Not visible armor, but internal, the kind that makes you unshakable when storms return. Stillness is a posture, a stance, a personal rebellion in a world addicted to noise and speed. While others are flailing, chasing, collapsing under the weight of their reactivity, you are rooted. Calm, not because life is easy, but because you've trained your mind to hold the line. And when chaos shows up again, and it will, you won't need to raise your voice. You won't need to run. You'll know exactly what to do. You'll return to that flame in your chest, the one you've protected through countless trials, and you'll let it light the way forward. Because stillness isn't the absence of struggle. It's presence, under pressure. It's how a Stoic wins, not with noise, but with poise. And now that you've found your footing in the storm, let's sharpen the next weapon, the journal. Not as a diary, but as a battleground. Let's move into Strategy 2. Strategy 2, write like your mind depends on it. Journaling for a Stoic isn't some soft habit of reflection, it's warfare. It's a preemptive strike against the chaos that brews in silence. It's what you do before the doubts rise, before the fears speak, before the day gets its grip on your emotions. You don't journal to sound wise, you journal to stay sane. Marcus Aurelius didn't write in hopes someone would quote him centuries later. He wrote to make it through the next day. His empire was crumbling. War was everywhere. Betrayal circled him like vultures. And yet, he took the time to write. Why? Because his mind was the first battlefield, and he refused to let it go unarmed. In a world moving at lightning speed, where emotions sprint ahead of thought and distractions seduce you every hour, journaling is how a Stoic grabs the reins back. It's how you anchor, how you turn confusion into clarity, reaction into reflection. It's not about eloquence, it's about exposure. You expose what's loud in your head, and once it's on paper, it loses its shadow. You give your thoughts shape, and with shape comes control. Your journal is the one space where you don't perform, you don't impress, you don't pretend. It's the only room where you can be the villain, the hero, the coward, and the fighter, all in the same breath. Because there, you're not being watched, you're being revealed. You're digging past the noise and into the root. So how do you journal like a warrior? You get honest, ruthlessly honest. You ask, what made me flinch today? What did I avoid that I should have faced? Where did I overreact? Where did I remain silent when I should have spoken? What am I pretending not to know? You write, not to admire your own insight, but to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. And here's the deeper truth. Journaling is not therapy. It's discipline. It's training your thoughts to submit to reason. Every sentence you write is a rep. Every time you choose awareness over autopilot, you get stronger. Your pen becomes your scalpel. With it, you cut through delusion, through excuse, through self-pity. Because without clarity, the mind will invent chaos. If you don't direct your thoughts, they'll turn on you. They'll play the same loop, the same lie, until it feels like truth. But when you write it down, when you bring that fog into daylight, you see it for what it is, a script. And scripts can be rewritten. The Stoic doesn't run from pain. He interrogates it. He wants the truth even when it stings, especially when it stings. Because that's where the work is. That's where growth is buried. And the journal? That's the shovel. That's how you dig into the parts of yourself that are still raw, still untamed, still echoing voices that never belong to you. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed. Don't wait until you've snapped. A Stoic doesn't wait for a breakdown. He prepares for one that never comes. He writes when things are quiet, when the doubts are still whispers, not screams, because that's when the fight is won. Not in the moment of crisis, but in the moments you choose to prepare. Some nights, you'll write things you don't want to admit. Good. That means you're doing it right. That means you've stopped posturing and started training. Your journal isn't a place for pretty words. It's a forge. And every entry adds heat, pressure, structure. until the mind that used to sabotage you becomes the mind that protects you. Write like your peace depends on it, because it does. Write like your identity is being sculpted, because it is. You're not just recording life, you're rewriting your relationship with it. Sentence by sentence, you turn wounds into wisdom, chaos into clarity. And once that becomes a habit, once journaling becomes part of your daily armor, you'll start to notice something. The storms outside won't feel as loud. The noise in your head won't echo as long. Because you've built a system of clarity, you've trained your mind to report to reason. So tonight, don't scroll, don't distract. Pick up the pen, let it speak the truth you've been avoiding, let it draw the battle lines, and then prepare to win. Because next, we take it one step further. Not just the mind, but the body. Not just thought, but friction. Strategy. 3 begins with discomfort and ends in mastery. Let's keep going. Strategy 3. Choose discomfort before life chooses it for you. Comfort feels good, safe, familiar, easy, but that's what makes it so dangerous. It lulls you into softness. It whispers that you're okay when you're not. It tells you to take a break before you've even earned the sweat. And if you let it, it will rob you of the resilience you never realized you needed until life forces your back against the wall. The Stoics saw this clearly. They didn't wait for the world to test them. They tested themselves. On purpose. Seneca slept on hard ground, walked barefoot in the cold, skipped meals. Not because he wanted to suffer, but because he knew a soft life breeds a fragile mind. He knew that when you run from discomfort, you hand fear the keys to your mind. And once fear is in the driver's seat, every small challenge becomes a crisis. That's why voluntary discomfort is a Stoic discipline. It's not about punishment, it's about preparation. You choose the hard path before life makes you. You step into resistance before resistance knocks down your door, and in doing so, you build something that no one can give you and no one can take away: strength from within. Think about your average day. Most of what we call problems are just moments of inconvenience magnified by a mind that's never been pushed. Cold weather, a slow phone, a delay, a harsh word. These things don't break people, they break untrained people. People who've lived in a bubble so long, they've forgotten how to bleed with purpose. A Stoic doesn't seek suffering, but he doesn't hide from it either. He welcomes it when it comes. And more than that, he walks toward it on his own terms. Not because he enjoys pain, but because he respects power. The kind of power that only comes from doing the thing you don't want to do and realizing you survived. Thrived even. Try this. Wake up earlier than you want. Take a cold shower. Go a full day without checking your phone. Speak the truth in a room full of silence. Walk a few miles in worn-out shoes. Skip a meal and sit with the hunger, not because you have to, because you can, because each act of discomfort is a declaration. I am not ruled by convenience. I am ruled by reason. And when you start living like that, things change. You don't get rattled so easily. Your tolerance grows. Your patience stretches. You stop expecting life to be soft, and you start showing up harder than whatever it throws at you. That's the beauty of discomfort. It stops being something you avoid and becomes something you use. Discomfort is the gym for your mind. Every challenge is a rep. Every awkward moment, every sting of cold, every taste of fear, it's all fuel. It's the friction that builds mental calluses. And you need those. Because life doesn't care how sensitive you are. It's going to press, push, and punch. And when it does, you want to be the one who's already trained under weight. You don't need to seek suffering. You just need to stop shielding yourself from it. Let life hit you just a little on your terms. Choose the friction, embrace the hard, and you'll start to notice something powerful. What used to intimidate you now excites you. What used to drain you now sharpens you. Because you're no longer walking around with a comfort-craving mind. You're carrying a warrior's one. So when the next challenge shows up, don't flinch. Step into it. Smile even. Say to yourself, I've done harder things by choice. And let that memory carry you forward. Because the next Stoic strategy is about what you let into your life and what you guard your mind against. If discomfort is the forge, then discernment is the gate. Let's move to strategy 4. Strategy 4. Cut what clouds your clarity. You can't claim to seek peace while keeping chaos on your contact list. You can't train your mind to be sharp while surrounding it with noise. You can't build clarity when you constantly bathe in confusion. At some point, you have to make the cut. Not gently, not eventually, but decisively. And the Stoics understood this with brutal clarity. They didn't ask permission to leave the room when it no longer served them. They didn't justify their exits. They didn't explain their silence. They just left. That's discipline. That's discernment. In today's world, we cling to people, to habits, to scrolling, to relationships that drain us, and conversations that dull our edge. We stay because we don't want to hurt feelings, because we're afraid to be misunderstood, because we think loyalty means bleeding for people who hand us the knife. But Stoicism doesn't ask for comfort. It demands alignment. And sometimes, alignment requires separation. If it clouds your clarity, it has to go. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. The people who joke at your expense, the environment that breeds comparison, the media diet that drowns your mind in self-doubt. Cut it. Cut without apology. Cut without guilt. Because your peace is not up for debate. Your growth doesn't need permission. Seneca once said, associate with people who are likely to improve you, not entertain you, not validate your worst habits, improve you. That means surrounding yourself with those who challenge your thinking, sharpen your purpose, and remind you of your standard, not just your comfort zone. But it's not just about people, it's about patterns. It's the habits you repeat unconsciously. The late nights filled with nothing but distraction. The endless scrolling through other people's lives while neglecting your own. The conversations that feel more like mental clutter than connection. Every time you allow those things to remain, you anchor your mind to stagnation. You can't forge an unbreakable mind while tolerating the things that break you. You can't expect mental strength to rise in an environment designed to drain it. The Stoic doesn't wait for the world to change. He changes what he allows into his world. That's where discipline begins, not in grand gestures, but in quiet decisions, in the refusal to carry what no longer belongs. Try this. Look at your life like a battlefield. What are you fighting for? And who or what are you allowing inside the gates that weakens your position? Start there. Clean your environment. Purify your inputs. If a voice in your life consistently brings more doubt than drive, cut it. If a behavior numbs your edge instead of sharpening your aim, cut it. You don't owe your peace to anyone else's approval. It doesn't make you heartless. It makes you focused. Because growth requires space. And space doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's created by subtraction, by editing your life with precision. And the sharper you become at cutting what doesn't align, the clearer your path becomes. The mind can't breathe when it's drowning in the noise of obligations that don't reflect your values. It can't focus when it's busy managing the emotional chaos of people who won't manage their own. and it definitely can't evolve when it's still rooted in patterns you know are killing your potential. The longer you delay the cut, the deeper the rot. This is where most people hesitate. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for someone else to change. But the Stoic doesn't wait. He acts. Because he understands that hesitation is how weakness survives. The moment you see it's not serving you, that's the moment to let it go. Cut it. Not with anger, with clarity, with calm, with finality. And once you start cutting, once you begin clearing the debris from your mental landscape, you'll notice something shift. You'll feel lighter, clearer, stronger. The voice in your head won't be as frantic. The weight on your chest will lift, because clarity is a byproduct of elimination. And peace is the prize of boundaries. So sharpen your blade, not to harm, but to heal, not to destroy, but to define. Cut with grace, cut with conviction, and cut knowing that every decision to walk away from what doesn't serve you is a step toward the life that will. Because in the final strategy, we bring all this together. We stop reacting, stop just surviving, and take full command of our energy. Let's step forward. Strategy 5 awaits. Strategy 5. Let discipline lead the way. Discipline isn't a feeling. It's not about willpower. It's not about waiting for some magical burst of motivation to drag you out of bed and push you into excellence. Motivation comes and goes. Mood rises and falls. But discipline is what remains. It's the backbone of a Stoic life. Not glamorous, not loud, not poetic. Just steady, reliable, ruthless in the best way. Discipline is when what's right becomes what's automatic. The Stoic doesn't sit around hoping the stars will align. He doesn't wait for the day to feel just right. He builds systems, structures, anchors. He designs a rhythm that moves even when his spirit is tired. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it. Because every time you act in alignment with your principles instead of your preferences, you train your mind to obey your higher self. You wake, you move, you read, you reflect. No applause, no fireworks, just structure, just forward motion. Let's make it real. Imagine a blacksmith. He doesn't ask the fire if today is a good day to forge. He doesn't wait for the metal to tell him it's ready. He builds the fire. He shapes the steel. Every blow of the hammer is a choice made without emotion, without hesitation. The rhythm is the ritual. He trusts the process more than he trusts the passing voice in his head. That's what you need. Because an undisciplined mind makes everything personal. I don't feel like it. I didn't sleep well. It's not the right time. These are the lies that keep you locked in place. But a Stoic doesn't ask how he feels. He asks what needs to be done. Then he does it. And in doing, the feelings change. Action rewires emotion. Discipline doesn't suppress your feelings. It transcends them. Your life doesn't need to be reinvented. It needs rhythm. Predictable, repeatable, powerful rhythm. You don't need more inspiration. You need fewer compromises. You don't need more hours in the day. You need tighter focus within the ones you already have. The path is not hidden, it's just hard. But that's exactly why it's worth walking. Build rituals that anchor your mornings. Rituals so simple they become impossible to excuse. 20 minutes of movement to wake your body. Cold water to shake off weakness. A single page of ancient philosophy, not to post on social media, but to ingest, to carry, to apply. One honest journal entry, one paragraph, one sentence. It doesn't have to be beautiful, it has to be real. These are not productivity hacks. These are acts of alignment, and over time, they stack. They become your edge. While others wait for momentum, you create it. While others depend on motivation, You depend on your system. That's why discipline is not a restriction, it's a release. The moment your habits match your values, you stop fighting yourself. Your energy no longer leaks into hesitation. It gets funneled into results. Let's take it deeper. Look at a Navy SEAL. He doesn't flinch in the middle of chaos, not because he's fearless, but because discipline has become instinct. He's trained to act without delay, to follow a code even when fear is screaming. His habits protect his life. Yours can protect your peace. Every time you choose your system over your sensation, you add one more layer of steel to your mind. The days you don't want to do it are the most important ones to show up. Because that's when the shift happens. That's when the body gets tired, but the will stands up. That's when discipline becomes identity. You have to stop negotiating with your impulses. Stop letting short-term comfort sabotage long-term greatness. If the plan is good, don't wait to feel right. Execute. Build non-negotiables into your day. What you do when you don't feel like doing it is who you are. Let that version of you be built brick by brick, through the grind, through repetition, because when your actions become consistent, your results stop being random. And when your habits are forged in alignment, you don't just live more effectively, you live more freely. That's the paradox of Stoic discipline. It looks strict on the outside, but inside, it's peace. Because once your rituals guide you, you don't wake up lost. You don't feel behind. You move with quiet confidence, like a soldier on mission. Calm, focused, unshakable. Think about the alternative. A life run by feelings, mornings wasted, days missed, promises broken, potential postponed, and all of it avoidable. Because discipline is available to anyone at any time. It doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care how many times you've failed. It just asks, will you show up today? So ask yourself, what would your day look like if it wasn't driven by emotion, but by rhythm? What would your future become if your actions aligned with your vision, not your hesitation? Don't wait for clarity, build it. Don't wait for motivation, outgrow it. Don't wait for a reason, be the reason. Make discipline your default, and watch how fast the chaos around you stops controlling you. You become reliable to yourself. You become a force the world has no choice but to respect, not because you shouted, but because you never stopped moving. The Stoic doesn't chase control over others. He builds command over self. And when the world sees a man like that, one who moves without drama, who follows through without applause, who keeps rising even when no one's watching, they don't know what to make of him. But they watch, and deep down, they know. That's power. So build the rhythm, cut the excuses, sharpen the edge. You don't need more signs, you need more reps. Your best days are built in routine. And that routine begins now. Discipline is your freedom. Structure is your power. Make them non-negotiable, and the rest of your life will follow. If this spoke to something deep inside you, take a breath, stand taller, and carry it forward. Comment "Mind Reclaimed" below and subscribe to keep rising with us in the next chapter. Have you ever stood in front of the mirror and seen someone you barely recognize? Not a stranger in the physical sense, but a version of yourself that feels dimmed. A man who once had clarity, but now lives on autopilot. You wake, you move, you endure. But somewhere along the line, something got buried. The fire, the edge, the purpose. It didn't vanish in a single moment. It faded slowly. Under the weight of disappointment, routine, comfort, and quiet resignation. And now, all that remains is a dull ache, the sense that you were meant for more, but you've forgotten how to reach for it. Maybe life struck hard. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it just made you tired in a way you can't quite explain. You stopped resisting. You got used to the heaviness. You started calling it normal. And now you're not broken. You're just numb. Numb to your own potential. Numb to the fire that once kept you awake at night with hunger and ambition. But here's what the Stoics knew. Fire never truly dies. It waits. It waits for breath. It waits for a decision, the kind of decision that doesn't need to be shouted, it only needs to be chosen. Right now, you stand at that moment, the turning point between staying asleep and choosing to wake up. In this video, we're not chasing motivation. We're building something deeper, a foundation carved from fire, forged in clarity, and sharpened through action. But none of it matters if you don't first choose to sit with the truth of who you've become and who you refuse to remain. So, take a breath. Stay with me. This might be uncomfortable. But sometimes, discomfort is not punishment. It is the beginning of power. You've felt the numbness. You've stood in front of the mirror and questioned the man staring back. Not because he's weak, but because he's gone quiet. Too quiet. That silence, it's not peace. It's the sound of a life that stopped moving forward. But now that silence is cracking. That ache in your chest, that pull to rise, it's not random. It's a signal. And if you're still here, still listening, then you already know something has to change. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. So we begin. Not with noise or speed, but with the hardest step of all, the reset. The fall and rise. Number 1, reset the man who forgot himself. There's a moment in every man's life when the mirror stops lying, when you look into your own eyes and don't recognize who you've become. You see the outline of yourself, same face, same body. But something beneath it has shifted, hollowed out, dulled. It's not just exhaustion. It's not just pain, it's the weight, the quiet, invisible burden you've been dragging behind you for so long, you forgot what it felt like to move freely. That weight has a name. It's called the past, and until you burn it, you will never be free. We all carry things, old failures, lost love, missed chances, words we wish we'd never said, apologies we never gave. The betrayal that cut too deep, the regret that came too late. These things don't live in history. They live in us, in our shoulders, in our sleep, in our silence. They whisper, "You're not enough. You'll never change. You always ruin it." And if you listen long enough, you begin to believe the lie that you are your past. But the Stoics knew something most of the world has forgotten. Your past is not your identity. It is not your fate. It is not your sentence. It is fuel, nothing more, nothing less. And like all fuel, it must be burned. That breakup that wrecked you, it wasn't the end of your story. It was the ignition point. The pain you felt was proof of how deeply you cared. But caring doesn't mean staying in pieces. It means using the lesson to rise stronger. You gave your love, you gave your trust, and maybe you were met with silence, with betrayal, with abandonment. That's not weakness, that's clarity. That's the truth revealing itself, no longer hidden behind fantasy. Every scar on your heart is a sign that you lived, that you tried, that you risked. And the Stoic response isn't to numb yourself or pretend you don't care. It's to accept that life is sharp, but you are sharper. If it doesn't feed your fire, let it become ash. And what about your failures? The dreams you dropped, the things you never followed through on? They don't own you unless you wear them like chains. You're not the man who messed up. You're the man who learned. If you're still alive, you're not done. Every fall taught you something. Every loss was a forge. Every silence was a signal. Wake up. Some people turn their past into a prison. They define themselves by it. I always mess things up. I'm not built for this. That's just how I am. They hold on to who they were because it's familiar, and they fear who they could become because that's unknown. But that's fear speaking, not truth. And fear, the Stoics remind us, is always a liar. You are not your mistakes. You are not the version of yourself that tolerated disrespect, avoided growth, or stayed quiet when you should have spoken. That man died the moment you decided you were done carrying his shadow. And if you haven't made that decision yet, make it now, because he's not coming back, and you have no obligation to keep wearing his name. Marcus Aurelius said, "The past is a thing indifferent. You can't reach it, you can't touch it, you can't edit it. It only lives in your mind, and the more space you give it, the less space you have for the man you're trying to become. So stop feeding it, stop watering the weeds. Your power lies in this moment, in what you choose next. Reset is not denial. It's not pretending things didn't happen, it's refusing to let them define you. It's looking the past in the eye and saying, you had your time, you taught me what you needed to, now get out of my way. You don't need closure. You don't need forgiveness from others. You don't need to relive the same story 1,000 different ways, hoping for a better ending. You just need one thing, the decision to burn it. To rip the contracts you signed with pain, with comfort, with weakness, and set them on fire. The version of you that stayed stuck. You don't owe him anything. You've outgrown people who don't even realize they've lost you. You've outlasted storms that were meant to break you. You've survived versions of yourself you thought would destroy everything. And now it's time to rise. But rising doesn't begin with action. It begins with release. Release the guilt. Release the blame. Release the illusion that if you could go back, you'd somehow make it right. You don't get to rewrite the past, but you can reforge the man who walked through it. That's the Stoic path. That's the warrior's way, and it won't be easy. Your past will beg you to look back. It will tempt you with old comfort, old labels, old habits. But don't look back. You're not going that way. The moment you step forward, fully, fiercely, is the moment your old life dies. And from its ashes, something stronger is born. Can you feel it? That fire inside, the one that's been flickering all this time, just waiting for permission to roar. That's what happens when you cut the weight, when you finally say, enough, when you stop apologizing for wanting more. That's not ego, that's awakening. Your past is not your home. It's not your identity. It's not your limit. It's fuel. Burn it. Let the pain, the regret, the memories, let them all rise in smoke. Watch them disappear as you walk forward. The world no longer owns you. Your trauma no longer commands you. You are not the man you used to be. You are the man who stood in the fire and chose to rebuild. So now, no more dragging dead weight. No more shrinking for comfort. No more waiting for a better yesterday. Reset your soul. Strip down to what matters. And when the past tries to speak again, let your silence answer, I'm not that man anymore. Because the only thing that matters now is what you're willing to build next. Number 2, restart with stone, not sand. There's a reason most people never change. It's not because they don't want to. It's not even because they're lazy. It's because starting over forces you to admit that the life you were living no longer works. It requires ego death. It strips away the illusion of progress and demands you stand naked in front of reality. That takes more than motivation. That takes courage. Most people stay stuck because they're terrified of the blank page. They've built their identity around patterns, even the ones that are destroying them. And now, even when everything crumbles, they cling to the ruins. Because rebuilding means facing the unknown. Rebuilding means work, sweat, silence, embarrassment, humility, and worst of all, it means being a beginner again. But here's what the Stoics knew. To begin again is not weakness. It is power in its purest form, not the kind of power that roars, the kind that quietly digs. That doesn't wait for ideal conditions. That puts one brick down, then another, while the world doubts and distractions whisper. Restarting is the decision to become dangerous again. The world doesn't care how you fell. It cares whether you got back up and built something stronger. Think of a man who's just lost everything. His business collapsed, his marriage failed, his health deteriorated. He stands in the rubble, humiliated, exhausted, alone. At that moment, he has two choices: blame life, shrink inward, repeat the same cycle, or face the wreckage and say, this isn't where it ends, this is where it begins. He doesn't have applause, he doesn't have momentum. What he has is rock bottom, and rock bottom, if used correctly, is solid ground. That's what this section is about, turning collapse into construction. The truth is, we are addicted to forward motion. We hate going backward, even when we're headed toward a wall. But the Stoic man doesn't fear returning to the start. He knows that the only thing worse than starting over is staying broken out of pride. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." That means rebuilding isn't punishment, it's resistance training for your character. Every setback you faced, every relationship that failed, every job that drained you, every goal that slipped away, all of it was preparing you for this moment. The moment you stop surviving and start architecting something real. Look at history. The strongest men were not built in comfort. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years and came out with vision, not vengeance. Epictetus lived as a slave and became one of the greatest teachers of inner freedom. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plague, war, and political chaos, and still found time every morning to return to his values. None of them avoided destruction. They mastered what came after it. Restarting is not resetting your calendar or buying a new planner. It's facing your life like a battlefield. It's tearing down what no longer serves and choosing to rebuild with precision. The hard part? Most people try to rebuild too fast. They slap together a new routine, chase a new goal, distract themselves with a new identity. But they forget the foundation. And so it crumbles again. A real restart starts at the core. It asks questions most people avoid. Who am I without titles, without the validation, without the story I've been telling myself? If that question makes you uncomfortable, good. That's the doorway. That's the place you begin. You might be thinking, but what if I fail again? You will. That's part of the process. Failure is not final. Stagnation is. Rebuilding means you will fall. You will face days where doubt screams louder than discipline, but the man who has chosen to restart doesn't listen for comfort. He listens for clarity. Clarity doesn't yell, it whispers. It shows up in early mornings when no one's watching, in saying no to what drains you, in choosing progress over performance, in laying down one solid brick when the world expects you to sprint. And here's something few people talk about. Sometimes restarting means walking away from a dream that no longer fits, from a relationship that you kept alive out of guilt, from a role you outgrew years ago. That's not quitting, that's alignment. You are not meant to rebuild the exact version of what collapsed. You are meant to build something that can carry the weight of who you are now. Ask yourself, are you rebuilding for applause or for longevity, for image or for substance? If you're doing it to impress, it will fall again. If you're doing it for your future self, the one who refuses to settle, then every step becomes sacred. The Stoic man doesn't rebuild out of desperation. He rebuilds from discipline. He knows that each small action, no matter how unimpressive it looks, is a declaration. I am not done. Picture it. A man sits on the floor, broke, heart shattered, reputation stained, but he opens his journal anyway, writes down 3 things he can do today, not grand gestures, just a walk, a workout, a moment of silence. That's how rebuilding starts, not with noise, with ownership. That's what we forget. Rebuilding is not dramatic, it's not cinematic, it's consistent. It's choosing every single day to align your actions with who you want to become. It's showing up when you have no reason to, other than the belief that you are worthy of the life you're building. So now, look at where you are. Look at what's fallen apart. And instead of grieving the pieces, ask, what new structure wants to rise here? Because this moment, the decision to restart, will echo louder in your life than any victory you've had before. This is the resurrection. This is where old identities die, and new foundations are born. You are not here to maintain what was. You are here to build what could be. That will take everything. It will take honesty, discipline, endurance, but it will give you back something even greater, your edge, your fire, your alignment. And when people ask how you changed, you won't talk about motivation. You'll talk about this choice. The one you made quietly. The one you made when everything told you to stay small. You'll say, I rebuilt. And that, my friend, is the moment you go from man to force. Now it's time to narrow the vision, cut the noise, burn the distractions. In the next step, we refocus, and we do it like our life depends on it, because it does. Number 3, refocus or be forgotten. Take a look around you, not a glance, but a long, honest look. What do you see? People moving fast but going nowhere. Scrolling endlessly, switching tabs, checking notifications, bouncing from one meaningless distraction to the next, like their life is on autoplay. It's not just attention that's being drained, it's purpose, it's soul. It's the fire they were born with, slowly being smothered by noise. And the worst part? Most of them don't even realize it. They mistake activity for progress, busyness for ambition. They think checking boxes is the same as building something real. But days slip away unnoticed. Weeks blur, months dissolve, and before they know it, years have vanished. They look up and wonder where it all went and why they feel so empty despite having done so much. The truth is harsh. Most people never even start living. They dream of a powerful life, one with meaning, with impact. But they never truly begin. Why? Because they're scattered, because they're distracted, because the world is screaming for their attention and they keep answering. But if you're here, if you've made it this far, then maybe you're done with that. Maybe you're ready to fight for something deeper. And if that's true, then the next step is simple. You must focus, ruthlessly, obsessively, without compromise. Real success, not the fake kind that gets applause online, but the kind that leaves a mark on the world, doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being obsessed with what matters. It comes from locking in on your mission so tightly that nothing can break your gaze. Not temptation, not fear, not the chaos of other people's lives. Focus is not soft. Focus is war. It's waking up and saying no to the world 1,000 times so you can say yes to your vision. It's deleting apps, turning off noise, cutting ties with distractions, even if they come dressed as friends or comfort. It's drawing a line and saying, this is what I'm here to do, everything else can wait. When Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy possession, he wasn't talking about freedom from rules or responsibility. He meant the freedom to choose where your mind goes. The freedom to guard your attention like a warrior guards his homeland. In a world that's addicted to noise, that kind of focus is rare and powerful. You have to decide what you're really fighting for. Not what looks good on a vision board, not what makes you seem impressive to strangers, but the one thing that, if you gave it everything, would make this whole life worth it. That's your mission. And once you've found it, you owe it every ounce of your being. Let me be clear. You cannot chase everything and still become something. You cannot spread yourself thin and expect to be remembered. Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, better, and with more fire. Every breath, every choice, every hour aimed. Yes, people will call you extreme. They'll say you've changed, that you're distant, that you're obsessed. Let them talk, let them scroll, let them waste. You are not them. You are not built for average. You are not here to blend in. You are here to lead, to build, to become a force so rooted in purpose that the world either moves around you or gets moved by you. You don't need more time. You need more clarity, more commitment. You need to decide, truly decide, that your energy is sacred, that your minutes matter, that you will no longer spend them on things that feed your ego but starve your soul. This world will try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but every yes to the wrong thing is a no to your mission. That's the price. And that price adds up until you look back and realize you built nothing, just managed everything. So build the discipline of single-minded focus. Turn your mornings into rituals of intention. Make your evenings a report card on your integrity. Track what deserves your energy and cut what doesn't. Make this your obsession, not your side hobby. Focus is not a tool, it's a way of being. A man with focus walks differently, talks differently, commands the room without trying because people feel something on him that they've lost in themselves. Clarity, and that clarity is magnetic. It tells the world, this man knows where he's going. And in a culture of confusion, that's power. Not the kind that screams, but the kind that doesn't flinch. Epictetus also said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. You want to be wealthy in peace, in legacy, in freedom, then want fewer things. Eliminate the excess. Strip your focus down to the one mission that sets your soul on fire, and then guard that fire with your life. Imagine what you could become if all your energy went in one direction, not split between what you want and what distracts you. Just one aim, one pursuit, one obsession, carried out with precision, with patience, with power. That's the Stoic way, that's the warrior's way, and it's the only way you'll ever build something that truly lasts. So ask yourself right now, what is my mission? What am I truly here to do? And am I living like it's the only thing that matters? Because if the answer is no, then it's time to cut the noise, burn the fluff, and turn your life into a weapon of focus. Because what comes next demands every ounce of your energy. It's not just about building focus anymore, it's about protecting it from everything that wants to steal it. And that's where we go next. Number 4, guard what fuels you. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone is entitled to your attention, your time, your mind. Your energy is not a community resource. It's sacred. It's the battery behind your discipline, your focus, your growth. And if you give it away carelessly, you'll wake up one day hollow. You'll wonder why you feel burned out before the day begins, why your goals feel distant, why your fire keeps dimming, and the answer will be simple. You've been bleeding energy where it wasn't respected. There are people who don't just distract you, they deplete you. Not because they're evil, but because they're untrained, undisciplined, addicted to chaos. They pull you into arguments that don't matter. They bait you into rescuing them. They drain your strength with their endless drama and refusal to grow. And every time you say yes to them, you are saying no to your future. Let me give you a real story. A young fighter, new to the sport, trained like his life depended on it. But outside the gym, he spent hours trying to keep people around him happy. An ex-girlfriend who wanted emotional validation, old friends who still partied, a cousin who constantly asked for favors. Eventually, his coach sat him down and said, "You don't have an opponent problem. You have an access problem. You're letting everyone into your corner, and it's destroying your focus." That was the day the fighter stopped explaining. He started cutting noise. Months later, he was unrecognizable, sharper, colder, quieter, but more alive than ever. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to explain your silence. The people who understand your purpose won't take offense when you protect it, and those who do were never meant to come with you. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations in a palace full of voices. He carved his mind in solitude, in reflection, in withdrawal from the noise. He knew that the world outside is full of temptation, ego, conflict, but the real war is choosing what to let in. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So, how do you start? You begin by asking, who makes me sharper? Who supports my values? Who respects my boundaries? And then you build your circle with precision. No matter how long someone's been in your life, if they drain you, you owe them nothing. Time served is not a reason to keep carrying dead weight. Silence is a complete sentence. Distance is a form of wisdom. You don't need to announce your evolution. Just move differently, and those who belong will feel the change and rise to meet it. The rest will fall away. Once you protect your energy, you'll notice something strange. You won't need to say much. Your presence will speak louder. People will sense it, that you're not here for drama, for gossip, for meaningless noise. You're here to build, to grow, to become a weapon, not a sponge. Because here's the truth. The man who protects his energy becomes untouchable. He's not pulled by every mood, not shaken by every demand, not drained by people who refuse to carry their own weight. He chooses his battles. He chooses his companions, and that's what gives his life force direction. So draw the line, protect the gate, guard the fire, because what comes next will demand everything you've got, and you cannot afford to be leaking strength on people who are only watching you burn. The next step is where that fire becomes discipline. Let's go. Number 5. Let discipline lead. Most people live like slaves to their feelings. They move when they feel inspired. They stop when it gets hard. They wait for motivation, like it's some divine lightning bolt that will strike them into greatness. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. Motivation is just a spark. Fleeting, fragile, unreliable. It burns bright for a second, then vanishes when discomfort shows up. And if you're depending on it to build anything meaningful, you've already lost. Real transformation isn't fueled by motivation. It's powered by discipline, the kind that doesn't need permission, doesn't care about moods, and doesn't wait for the right time. Discipline is the fire that doesn't flicker when the wind picks up. It burns through resistance. It doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" It moves every day, no matter what. You have to understand something. Your feelings will lie to you. They'll whisper, "You're tired. You've done enough. Skip today." You'll do it tomorrow. And if you listen, you'll start making deals with weakness, little compromises, justifications, delays. But the Stoics knew better. They didn't wait for a feeling. They acted on principle. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That means when something is hard, when your body resists, when your mind complains, that's not your stop sign. That's your path. That's where the work begins. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I'll start when I'm ready"? How many goals have died in the graveyard of waiting? Readiness is a myth. There is no perfect moment. The stars will not align. The silence you're hoping for won't come. There's only now. And what you do with it, that's what shapes who you become. Winners don't move when it's convenient. They move through pain, through exhaustion, through doubt. They get up at 5 a.m. Not because they love it, but because they've made a decision. Comfort will not control them. They train, they write, they build, they show up. Not for applause, not for adrenaline, but because they've decided this is who they are. And that decision, that's discipline. Discipline is not perfection. It's not about never missing. It's about showing up more often than you don't. It's about pushing through when you're at 40% and everything inside you says quit. It's not sexy. It's not loud. It's silent, steady, and unforgiving. But that's why it works. Because while everyone else is still getting in the mood, the disciplined man has already done the work. While others need a playlist, a vibe, a sign from the universe, he's already 3 steps ahead. There's a moment in every day when you'll be tested, when the warmth of your bed feels more inviting than the cold edge of your goals, when your mind says, it's okay to skip just once. That's the moment discipline must speak louder than comfort. That's the moment a man is made, not by what he says, but by what he does. Feelings will come and go, but habits, they stay. They carve paths in your mind. They write your identity in action. Every time you choose discipline, you reinforce the message, I am the kind of man who shows up. And that identity becomes unbreakable, not because you never struggle, but because you keep coming back again and again, no matter how it feels. Let me give you something real. Picture 2 men. One moves when he's inspired. He's brilliant when he's on, but vanishes when life gets heavy. The other is quieter, not as flashy, but he moves every day, trains every day, thinks, writes, builds every day. Guess who wins in the long run? The second man, every time. Because storms will come, you will doubt yourself. Life will knock you sideways. But the man who built discipline into his bones, he bends, but he doesn't break. The habits he forged when things were calm protect him when the chaos comes. He doesn't fall apart because he trained for this. He trained to be consistent in the inconsistency. That's Stoicism. That's real power. When Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He wasn't being poetic. He was being direct. Stop talking. Stop planning. Stop waiting. Be it. Choose it. And the way you become that man isn't through feelings, it's through discipline. Day by day. Task by task. Choice by choice. You want to be respected? You want to be a man others count on, and more importantly, a man you respect in the mirror. Then stop being ruled by how you feel. Start being ruled by what you've committed to. That's what separates warriors from the world. So here's what you do. You build habits like armor. Wake up early, not because it's trendy, but because it trains your will. Train your body because it teaches your mind that you don't run from effort. Create systems, rituals that serve your future self. Make showing up your baseline, not when you feel good, but especially when you don't. Yes, you'll fail. You'll miss days. You'll fall short. But the difference is this: you don't stop. You don't let failure define the next move. You get back up, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And every time you do, your discipline grows teeth. It becomes a force, and that force becomes your edge. Discipline will take everything from you: your excuses, your laziness, your need to be entertained, but it will give you something greater: self-respect. And that, my friend, is priceless. When the world doubts you, when the critics laugh, when even your inner voice starts to break, discipline holds the line. It becomes your backbone. It becomes your fire. And in time, the man who walks with that kind of fire becomes unstoppable. So don't wait for the perfect mood. Don't wait to feel right. You'll wait forever. Instead, make the decision today. Move, begin, keep going, because this isn't just about being productive, it's about becoming powerful. And if you can master this, if you can choose discipline over feeling again and again, then nothing can stop you. And now that the foundation is built, the past has been buried, the focus has been sharpened, and the fire inside has become steady, it's time to protect it. Because even strength can be stolen if you don't learn how to guard it. That's what comes next. So now you've reset the man who was lost. You've restarted the mission with clarity. You've refocused your mind, protected your energy, and chosen discipline over the noise of your emotions. That alone puts you ahead of most men. But here's the hard truth. That was only the first layer. That was the scaffolding, the ground floor, and no matter how strong it feels now, it's still just a beginning. Because once you rise, life doesn't get easier, it gets clearer. And with clarity comes confrontation, not with the world, but with yourself. The habits you buried, they return. The temptations you silenced, they whisper again. The doubts you thought you destroyed, they evolve. And this time, they won't attack from outside. They'll come from within. The world doesn't test the weak. It forgets them. But it does test the strong twice as hard. Not to break them, but to see if their strength is real or just momentum. And that test never ends. It lives in your silence, your solitude, your thoughts when no one's looking. That's where we go now. Part 2. The real war, the invisible war, not against circumstance, but against comfort, distraction, self-deception. Now, we stop performing, we start becoming. Let's build the kind of power that doesn't fade when the fire dies, because it is the fire. B. The man who refuses to die. 1. Kill the comfort god. You've been worshipping the wrong God, the God of comfort, the God that whispers ease, promises peace, and slowly robs you of your strength. He doesn't come with horns or flames. He shows up wrapped in softness, in warm beds, familiar routines, cheap dopamine. He comes in the form of scrolling when you should be building, in the silence when you should speak, in the excuses you make sound noble. I'm just protecting my peace. But the truth is, this God doesn't want your peace, he wants your power. Weak men don't just avoid discomfort, they elevate comfort into a lifestyle. They shape their days not to sharpen themselves, but to shield themselves. They choose what's easy, what feels good, what doesn't challenge them, and they label it balance. But balance without resistance is just stagnation. It's a silent surrender, and the longer you bow to comfort, the further you drift from the man you were born to be. Comfort doesn't sharpen you, it dulls you. It doesn't teach, it distracts. It doesn't fuel you, it numbs you. And that numbing, it feels safe at first, but over time, it becomes a slow, quiet death. A death of edge, a death of fire, a death of ambition. You stop striving, stop risking, stop reaching, and before long, you're not living anymore. You're just coasting. Comfort tells you you've done enough. Comfort tells you, take it easy, there's always tomorrow. Comfort tells you, don't push, You deserve rest. But Marcus Aurelius never said, "Take the easier path." He said, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." And often the right thing is the harder one, the one that burns a little, that stretches you, that strips away your ego and leaves only your will. Look around. How many men have become soft, not from failure, but from success, from getting a taste of stability and then clinging to it like a child clutches a blanket? The gym membership becomes decoration, the cold plunge becomes optional, the goals fade into maybe someday, and the edge dulls, one quiet compromise at a time. You want to kill the weak version of yourself. Start by killing the god you built around comfort. That part of you that flinches at inconvenience, that says, "Not today," that waits for perfect conditions. You don't need perfect. You need pressure, you need friction, you need the forge. So here's how it begins. Wake up early, not because you want to, but because it's uncomfortable. Say no when it's easier to say yes, because easy builds weakness. Do the hard thing, especially when no one will applaud it. Learn to rest inside discomfort, not escape from it. That's where strength is born. Discipline must become your food, struggle your teacher, pain your training ground. Because comfort is a god that demands everything, your drive, your ambition, your edge. It takes your hunger and gives you nothing in return but sedation, and the longer you kneel before it, the harder it becomes to stand.